And howdy, folks. Welcome to Adventures in Alberon, a 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons game run by me, Joe Treff, your Dungeon Master for the evening. I am joined, as always, by Matt, Miles, Allie, and Tina. This is Session 37, Oil and Trouble. A couple of announcements before we get started. First, Dibbad Oap, who has a very difficult name to pronounce, but awesome art, is doing a really, really cool, like a watercolor thing. If you guys follow us on Instagram, you've seen it, or you've seen one of them. The last one was Shay and Gamble. In this very, very heartfelt moment, giving the mask, captured a lot of detail. It was really beautiful. But she is putting together for us another piece, and I got to see the sketch for it finally today, and it looks super cool. The pose that Gunter's in is like perfectly spot on. Actually, the pose that everybody's in is perfectly spot on to what it was like in the session. You have like Morwen and Kroddick, and then you have Gunter. So it's going to be really great. Also, I wanted to say thank you to Campfire Quest. They gave us a shout out today. So big thank you to them. If you guys are looking for other streams, Campfire Quest usually goes a little earlier than us on Friday. They're not streaming, unfortunately, tonight. But if you normally tune into them, hello and welcome to Adventures in Alberon. And finally, we have an email address that if you have any questions or you want to ask either me or one of the players something, you want to know a little bit more about our world or the things that go into it, you can email us at cast@alberonrpg.com. And probably starting sometime either next week or the week after, we'll be answering questions at the beginning. And then actually, sorry, one more announcement, because I kind of thought this and I didn't end up getting it onto my ad copy. But one of the things that we're looking to do is get some kind of an introduction going. So we don't have an intro, as it were, right now. It's something that we really want to do. If you are an animator, if you know animators, please let us know. We do paid work and we try to get everything from our own community. So just let us know. But I think with that, unless anybody else has something that they want to say, that is all I have for announcements this week.
Music provided by Sirenscape.
Music provided by Sirenscape. Oh yeah, so do we have music right now?
We do.
Fantastic. So the music that you're hearing provided by Sirenscape, a fantastic digital tool set for Dungeon Masters players and people who like to hear fantasy sounds. Definitely check it out. You can use it for free. The paid option has a lot of flexibility. Definitely recommend that as well. Not a sponsor. So last that we played, the Finger Gang stumbled across a group of ruffians within the massive pillar of stairs, a looming column of stone brick that serves as both a structural support and an old passageway from the undercity of Koltaram to Koltaram proper above. Gunter, you cast a powerful blindness spell on the assembled group of bandits, already exhausted from the methods by which Kindscale, the purple dragon, has exerted her control across Koltaram and the surrounding region, though these effects seem to have not penetrated to the undercity below. The fight became decidedly one-sided from there, and with a few brutal attacks from Shay, maybe about one each from the rest of you, quickly enough you were able to render the group largely unconscious, leaving Gobbins the dwarf alive. His name is Gobbins, and eager to talk. Heinrich, you learn that Gobbins was part of a bandit group originally run by the dragonborn Raunar, currently unconscious, bound, but still clad in his gleaming scale mail. He explained that Kindscale had used terrifying dreams, sleep deprivation, control of food and water, and deadly force to quickly beat the city largely into submission. You learn Kindscale issues a balm to her soldiers to spare them from the nightmares her presence seems to emit. She only does so in 7-day batches in order to keep them working, or in other ways kind of bound in servitude to her. Gunter and Morwen, you looted some bodies, gained a little bit of wealth on the way, and Heinrich, you and Kroddick remained to stand guard over those below. Initially, Gunter, Morwen, Shay, and Gobbins ventured forward. You did some initial scouting, and then immediately, after very, very harshly chastising Gunter for always wanting to murder people, Shay, you and Morwen immediately murdered people. You were able to get back, convene as a group, and push back forwards towards your objective. And as a group, you decided you would enter the space, which you guys all see in general chat. And I always forget to post it. I don't know if one of you could post it into a chat. That would be super helpful. But you remain within this large room. You go up the stairs, and there is Stone walls, stone floor, and this cavernous ceiling, probably about 25 feet up at the lower point, although it does arch towards the middle. There are torches set every 20 feet, and there are these small outcroppings that emerge from the wall that seem to cast some shadow, although it is largely a well-lit area. In front of you originally, there was this wooden container marked by the Mudtown Alchemist Association, a group that, Gunter, you actually have encountered before, and Morwen, you at least knew a little bit about being from the West Coast. You decided that the best strategy was just to walk out and try to talk your way through things. And as you stepped past this container, even taking great care to steer fairly clear around it, you began to hear this bubbling, oozing sound, and this large, blackish, oily mass emerged, and then another. And at this moment, as all eyes, about 12 of them from various soldiers across the room, mostly about 30, 45 feet away, that is where we're going to begin for tonight. So, I need everybody to roll initiative.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, look at that. Really quick. Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
That's good for you guys. That's really good for me.
I don't know how to post it.
Wait, what just happened? You guys all froze. Oh my god.
That's
Well,
you, Matt.
nobody, we don't even
Are
see
we
you
still?
frozen at the moment, but
Are we still frozen?
No, you're good.
okay, perfect.
Okay.
Maybe we're all
I-
just really
I missed-
still at the same
I
time.
missed what Joe was saying.
So yeah, don't worry, nothing important.
Yeah. Okay, I'm
Anybody?
walking into the room. It's fine.
So you guys are rolling for initiative. I need anybody natural 20. All right, 25 to 20.
Oh,
Okay, 20 to 15.
I got a
19.
15 over here.
15.
You skipped over my chunk while we were locked up. I had 20,
Sorry.
21.
Okay, so that's actually great for you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
I'm
you,
also gonna
Heinrich.
switch routers that we're connected to.
Morwen,
This one
what-
seems to be like dropping a bunch.
Okay, Morwen, what about you?
11.
And Shay?
19.
19. Okay. So, Heinrich, you are up first. What do you want to do? Currently, you're standing a little bit back and to the right of that container. You can see in front of you this large ooze about 5 feet away, and it seems to be lunging towards Gunter. The other one seems to be now just, you could see this long black tendril like over, and then it shifts the entire mass. It rolls over, and as it hits the ground with a loud, you can actually hear, you smell this almost, it's caustic. It's this oily, almost like pitch. And they seem both to be kind of moving and sweeping in the direction of your dwarvish friend Gunter.
Okay. And what size are they? You said large. Like, not? Are they larger than, like a bugbear, for example? Which
Yes.
we
So
have
this is a, one of these guys. So it is
Okay.
a
Cool.
large creature. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to just gut reaction, double bolt, Eldritch Blast it and push it 10 feet, like
Yeah. Go ahead. Roll your
away,
attacks.
more towards like the other one, I guess.
Sure.
So first one is a 22.
Okay, that hits.
Okay. Do you want me to roll the hits first or the hit damage? Hit damage.
Up to you.
Okay, I'm gonna roll for the other hit as well.
Sure.
And that one is a 17.
17 hits.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so damage. Okay, that is 4, 9, and 18.
18. And you shift to 10 feet, right?
Correct. Pushing it 10
Okay.
feet, like back away from Gunter if there was any sort of motion it was making to grab or attack him. That's kind of like the thought.
As this creature is climbing out, and it's like you can see it's not an arm, but part of the main mass stretches out, a tentacle almost.
Mhm.
And as it gets close to Gunter, who at this moment is starting to wheel around, his reaction time, not the fastest, although faster than normal this evening. You hold out your hand, and all of a sudden, down your arm and through your hand, there are these glyphs that spin into motion, very Doctor Strange-like, and these blasts erupt. You can see each one impacts, and the creature all of a sudden is torn to the side. Gunter, as you're turning to see it, it's literally this like mass oozing out towards you, and then it just gets pounded about 10 feet past you. And as it moves, it shifts, and you can now see the other one beyond it crawling towards you. But Heinrich, that's your action. Anything else?
Yeah, just kind of like shuffle into the room to the left, like parallel with it, sort of. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Or-
Okay. So you move about 15 feet and
Strafing.
going over, and you're keeping it to your side. You actually go behind Gunter. And there's a moment where he kind of passes in front of you, but Gunter's very short. He's 5 feet tall. You can see
I
right
give him a
over.
little tap on the shoulder, like he
Okay.
does with me with guidance, being like, "Got you, buddy."
Warlock guidance is just Eldritch Blast. All right, that is your turn. It is now their turn.
Oh no.
So Heinrich, at this moment, you kind of shifting and strafing, look up, and you can see there are 12 various humanoids. You can see a bugbear, you see a drow, there are humans, dwarves, all of whom seem gaunt and tired. But unlike them, there is one figure that does not. And you can see now, standing on the right staircase, about halfway up, is a Looktai, this half-orc friend of yours, or person who you have spent some time with.
Yeah.
Friend is a strong word. Who you had last seen leaping off of a ravine almost 80 feet to what could have almost surely been his death were it not for his healing lobster.
I feel like I do one of those like in the last seconds of my turn.
And you kind of see he's like hesitates, his eyes lock with yours, and he calls out all the way across this room. It echoes through, "Redman, you have done well to make it this far. Good luck. Volley!" And all of a sudden you hear like the sound of 12 bows go taut. So
What a douche.
Gunter, all right, Gunter, this is going to be easier this way. What is your AC?
Currently it is 18.
18. Okay, so they roll the ones that hit you. 2 19, so 19, 19, 20, and 21. So that's 4 arrows suddenly right into your chest. You
Oh
take.
no, I'm Boromiring.
Oh no!
I'm Boromiring.
16 points of. Oh no! Actually, sorry. 20 points of piercing damage as these arrows rip into your 287-year-old form. Heinrich, there are 6 that are shooting at you.
Okay.
And that. Ooh. What is your AC?
19.
I need to make a con save.
Okay. 16, 15, 12, 8, 6, 4, and 4. So
Okay. A few
as
off the
you-
shield, the rest just miss.
yeah, as you can see, like you hear the taut bowstrings and they kind of shoot, 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 as they fire up towards you. You pull the shield over, and you can hear as they just hit and scrape off to the side, doing absolutely nothing. Gunter doesn't have a shield, unfortunately, and you watch as Gunter just gets pin cushioned.
Yeah, fix that later.
But you can see they begin to draw forth, and they are tired. They do seem uncertain, but they are forming this kind of basic line. And you watch as a Looktai just sort of vanishes up the stairs. But that is their turn. Shay, what do you want to do, Gunter? You are on deck.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I tucked myself kind of around the corner and was more or less hidden at the end of last time.
Yep. As far as you could tell.
As far as I know. Would I be able to get a sense of how far away the archers were?
If you would like to use an action to try and use a perception check. Okay. So what do you want to do?
I don't even know.
What do you...
I'm gonna go into the room and I'm gonna hit the closest one who's got a bow.
Okay, so so for reference, hang on one sec here. So in terms of your movement, as you see Gunter get absolutely pin-cushioned and Heinrich start to get hit, Morwen kind of tucked out to the side. You can't, it seems as if they haven't seen her. The nearest one, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, is about 70 feet away. So you can get there. What are you going to do?
She fast.
I'm going to...
Gunter, One of them looses another arrow at you because this is taking a little bit.
Oh, no!
And luckily for you, rolls
I
a
grab
10,
it.
and it just no, you don't. It rolls a 10, and you can see this arrow just and then kind of off 2 stones and vanish off into the darkness. Shay, what are you doing?
From where I'm hidden, is it possible to kind of move around so that way I have a better line of sight and could potentially deflect said arrows if they come in, but not like put myself in harm's way?
Yeah, I mean, you could put yourself in the doorway.
Cool. I'm gonna do
Okay.
that.
You shift about 5 feet over and ready yourself. Are you readying any actions or just kind of, or you're readying, like dodge?
I'm readying to deflect any missiles that are coming my way.
Fair enough. So you take that position. Nobody else on the field can currently see you, actually, but for the moment, you now see Gunter. It is your turn more when you're on deck. Gunter, after getting pummeled by arrows, you can see they're already readying the second round. Next to you, about 10 feet away, there is one of these large black masses. And then you can see about 15 feet away, there's a second. What do you want to do?
I'm gonna be like, well, actually, I have a question. Would it be an action to throw out the Gam Cube?
I would say you could throw the Gam Cube as a bonus action. But Matt, you just froze, so maybe. Oh, is he coming back or no?
I don't know.
Matthew.
Is he here? Is he
No arrow penalties for freezing.
here?
I'm not going to give a penalty for a technical
But
issue. That's
what-
a dick
Wait,
move.
what happened? What happened?
Your camera's frozen.
Okay,
Now you're
am I
back.
good? Am I
Yeah,
back?
you're back.
You're good.
You're
Yeah,
back.
you just got
I'm
shot
back.
like 5 more times, dude.
Oh no.
Gunter.
No, I'm just kidding.
So yeah, you're asking. You could do it as a bonus action.
Oh, sweet. Okay. I'm gonna then throw out the old Guardian of Faith,
Okay.
which I believe, if I remember correctly, is like I go and I crouch, and it's gonna. I want it to appear, basically like right in front of them,
Okay. Sure.
in front of their line of
So,
people,
As
so that
Gunter,
they're within 10 feet and they get attacked.
sure. As Gunter gets penetrated with arrows, and you see they stay in. They're deep. Gunter, you duck for cover, and as you do, there is this, and the energy seems to almost dissipate and does not work.
Jeez.
Anything else?
Yeah, now I'm gonna throw out the Gam Cube and be like, Gam!
Okay, so you watch as Gunter ducks and covers and looks around
And-
nervously.
For positioning, I would
Okay.
like it to be so that the door is facing away from them, obviously, and I can get in. And pretty much like right up against that spiky old
Okay.
wall there, you know?
Why don't you go ahead and make this is going to be a ranged weapon attack at disadvantage because you're not proficient in throwing cubes. But yeah, let's see how it goes. Why not?
At disadvantage.
A disadvantage.
All right. Ooh. So that's Dex?
Yes.
Oh. Yeah, that's a 6.
Okay. So Gunter, you take the cube out, and your palm, little bits of blood trickling down a wound in your arm, makes it very hard to get a good hold on. And as you like whip it forwards, you intend to like spin it with your finger to get the door around. It just kind of slips out and goes straight forward. It lands not touching the spikes, but kind of off and to the left. You can actually see where that torch is. That's where the bottom left corner would be. So it wedges itself against the wall. You do not see a doorway. It is either facing them or facing the wall, in which case it would not be accessible. But the cube, as you throw it, it just and it just comes and lands, unfolding into plates of iron that eventually become this like what looks like a metal shack just in the middle of nowhere. It does block 2 of them. It blocks their line of sight, as far as you can tell. But aside from that, it seems like it would be hard to access. That is your bonus action and action. Do you want to move?
Yeah, I'm gonna get behind it as best I can.
Okay, yeah, no problem. You can just kind of shuffle up only about 10 feet because you didn't throw it really well. And you just crouch behind it. You get on the corner so that you can still see beyond it. But you feel as if you have some cover. That is your turn. That brings us to Morwen. What do you want to do?
Okay. So, on the other side of this crate.
Yep.
There's more like barricading or like things
So
I could
you
hide
see
behind.
that there's 2 barricades. There are pillars that appear every 15 feet or so. Not pillars, but they're part of the structural supports that come out from the wall about a foot and then rise up to the ceiling. There are crates all over. There is a barricade that's down and under construction with a bunch of tools scattered around it.
Okay. I think I'm gonna run into like more into the room and
Okay.
hide behind let's see, I guess the first thing that looks like the most cover. I don't know if that would be a pillar or this like obstruction.
So you could hide behind the big crate itself. You could hide behind. You're from where you are. You can move to most of the parts before that barricade. So where do you want to go?
Oh, before the barricade?
Yeah,
I wanna
before
go
those
in
little
after
spiky
the
things.
barricade. Where are the blobs?
The blobs are to the left and then forward from that crate, and then to the right, and they're both like forward from the crate. One's climbing around it, and the other one just got blasted back by Heinrich's Eldritch Blast.
Okay, you know what? I'll go after the blob.
Okay, so you rush
The one
up.
closest to me.
You what?
The one closest to me.
Okay, so you rush towards the one that Heinrich blasted, actually. You also rush past Gunter. Go ahead and make your attack rolls.
Oh, it's not an advantage. I wasn't sneaking before, correct?
You weren't
So
sneaking,
and
but
it's
you
not
get...
near anything.
It is.
Still get it. It
It's
has
Why
nothing to
am
do
I
with
so
sneak.
friggin-
It has nothing to
Yeah,
do
I'm
with
telling
sneaking.
you.
You're almost always going to get sneak attack because of your swashbuckler ability.
Okay. All right, so that's a 17.
Yeah, 17 hits.
Yay!
And this is considered a sneak attack because you do have advantage. And so roll your sneak attack damage on this thing.
Gladly. Okay. So 10. Oh, thank you. 11, 13, 17, 18,
Oof.
19, 20.
That's 4
Wow.
ones.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
But 20 points of damage. So as you streak forwards with the rapier, you thrust it forwards, and it seems to almost just swallow it. And as you pull it out, there's this slick, oily kind of consistency. And actually, there's a familiarity to it for you, for sure.
Right.
Kind of hard to place in the moment. Anything else?
I'm gonna butts.
Yeah,
So in
swing
order
that
to-
short sword.
In order to say something or panache someone, hypothetically, that would be an action. I can't do that right now, or could I do that
Correct.
instead of using my second attack? Okay.
No, so when you take the attack action, you do all the attacks in it. That's your action is the attack. Even if it's 2
Okay.
attacks. Yeah.
Something's only a bonus if it says it can be a bonus or is a bonus.
19 for butts.
19 hits.
There you go.
For 6.
There you go.
Okay. So as you pull it away and the oil sort of comes out with it and drops onto the ground, you slash across with butts and you hit the exact same spot. And this time it's almost as if like a bucket's worth of this oil is cast aside and just sprays across the ground. And even as it does, you can see it begins to kind of shift and move as if it's moving to regather itself. But that is your turn.
Nope. I'm gonna use my remaining movement. To,
Yeah, use the words.
Just bonus action hide behind one of the pillars for cover. from the
Okay, so
pillar.
yeah, you can shift back to the bottom left kind of pillar, the one that's closest to the stairs. Go ahead and make a stealth check. Bonus action height. Yeah, no problem. You immediately just pull back, and Gunter, your eyes are able to follow her as she past you, but you don't see where she goes, despite the fact that she's only about 7 feet away from you. It is the oil's turn. So, given everything that happens, and Gunter, unfortunately, you are the closest to both of them.
I'll be right back.
They're oozing towards you, and Gunter, they both. How fast do they move? Give me just 1 second.
Hopefully pretty slow.
They're not terribly fast. It's gonna be 5, 10, 15, 20. So the second one has to dash to get up to you, but they end both right near you. And they're going to go ahead. The first one is going to go ahead and make an attack. That is going to be a 23 to hit.
Yeah, that's a hit there, boss.
All right, so first, you are going to go ahead and you're going to take 7 points of bludgeoning damage.
Well, that's not too bad.
Plus,
That's the plus isn't great though.
11 points of acid damage. Really not that bad. And then your armor, if I'm not mistaken, is not magical.
Nope.
Okay.
No, it is
So as
not.
this oil hits you, it splashes across your armor and it seems to almost corrode through. If you could go ahead and mark a permanent -1 penalty to your AC that armor provides, it begins to pit and corrode, and you can tell getting too much of this stuff on you is not going to be great for your equipment. However, that is its action. The second one is unable to attack because of dash. That is their turn. That brings us back to the top of the order. Heinrich, what would you like to do?
So if I'm looking at this map, can you just like pinpoint where we are right now?
Yep. So currently, you see where that crate that the oils came out of is?
Mm-hmm.
You are standing 2 squares to the left of that, on the bottom row.
Okay. And then
Gunter
where...
is currently diagonal to you forward.
Mhm.
There is one oil directly in front of him and one to the right of him, both in contact with him.
Okay.
Morwen is behind the pillar in the bottom left. Shay is standing in the doorway to the right and slightly back of her.
Okay. I think I'm gonna just try to do the pushing thing again because that seemed to work.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm gonna do it to both of them this time. I'm just gonna spread it out.
Sure, 1 each.
Yeah. Just sort of like lay into that.
Roll your attacks, roll your Eldritch Blasts.
All right. So left one first with a 18.
An 18 definitely hits.
And this is the one that I've hit before, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just add I'm going to be leaning more damage into that one. So let me do the damage here first. 4 plus, so 9 on that one. And push 10 feet back, I guess, into the barricade.
Let me take a quick look. Where it's in it? Yeah, that absolutely will. So go ahead. What's the damage on that?
That was 9.
Okay, 9 points of
force, if
damage.
that's the type.
Go ahead and roll 2d6 for me.
Cool. 5. Damn it, and a 1, 6 total.
Okay, so you unleash that first Eldritch Blast and it streaks, and actually, it as the glyphs sort of light up to their brightest and the blasts emit, they seem to almost split. The first one that strikes the one that you've already hit, you can see it hits it, and the whole oil form slides and slams into the barricade. Elements of the oil itself spill over and around and actually spatter the people beyond. There is this insanely loud, and you can see already the wood is beginning to sag in places. This stuff is highly corrosive.
Right.
However, give me just 1 second.
Sure.
A non-magical weapon made of wood. Go ahead and roll your second attack.
Cool. Ugh. It's a 1.
Wow.
So as you swing forward and the second one seems to arc, it kind of catches the side of that crate and just seems to almost kind of ricochet up and seems to hit almost nothing, dispelling harmlessly in the air.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah, I'm gonna like shout to our friends, all of us, be like, "Get back!" and just sort of like start heading towards the door.
Okay. So you guys
I can't
all
describe
hear...
exactly why I want us to get back, but I just like get back, like please.
So you all in the spaces that you are hear Heinrich yell for you to get back. It is their turn, and since Gunter hasn't done anything, Heinrich, you notice a lot of them begin to shift their attention towards you.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to be 8 against you. That
So
is
with my
one
movement-
natural. Oh, sure.
With my movement, I wasn't able to get like away from them.
You hadn't said that you wanted to, but if you want to, you can move
Yeah,
further.
it was like like I'm running back towards the door,
Oh, okay. So 5,
like
10,
while
15,
saying that kind of.
You can, yeah. So you can go right by Shay and then into the actual staircase itself. You can get out of sight.
No, I want to keep their attention. I just want to draw back
Sure.
to like the entrance of the doorway and stand in the, I guess, left side if Shay is in the right.
Okay, no problem. You rush back, and Shay, you kind of pull a little bit to the side, allowing Heinrich's form to also take up. You guys are kind of very, very close quarters in that doorway. However, that does mean I need to retcon that because Gunter, you are taking 12 arrows as you are now standing out in the open by yourself.
What about the? I'm not behind the GameCube.
You are behind the GameCube. You're going to get cover from it, but you're the only one that they can see at the moment. That is not Shay standing far away in a doorway, and Heinrich standing far away in a doorway.
How's the GameCube not covering me completely? I thought it was huge.
It's 10 by 10. I mean, it's large. But
10 by 10.
One of them is a natural 20. The other ones are going to be a 16. 16 is the next highest one. For the first test.
That's tie. Tie goes to me.
That does not go to you. So that's 2 that hit. And then the other ones, holy shit. I'm going to take a picture of this because this is unbelievable.
Fuck no.
No, it's a bad thing for me. The highest that I rolled in terms of actual rolls was an 8 and 6 dice. So you can see beyond all of these individuals terrified. They're emaciated. They are not a well-trained army. And so already, like, as they see this massive cube into place and these oils ooze forth and one gets slammed in front of them and they are sprayed with this corrosive material, they're just kind of firing off now. And there are arrows going all over the place. Gunter, you do take 2 of them. The first one is going to be just a simple 8 points of piercing damage. The second one is going to be 14 points of piercing damage. As that last one, that critical hit, seems to slide right between elements of your armor and actually pierce into your chest. That is their turn. You can see 1 or 2 of them that were covered in this kind of stuff. You do hear people just kind of like get it off. There's actually, you know what? You see one of them actually after that arrow, they drop the bow and start like trying to scrape bits of this away before they hold their hands out and begin to kind of yell at the hands. But that is their turn. Shay, what do you want to do? Gunter, you are on deck.
Sun and ours is important. Kitchen isn't. Sorry, rain just started crazy right here.
Is there?
Oh yeah, you're out there.
Like an easy path to get over and kind of like shepherd Gunter out.
So if you wanted, you could move 5, 10. You could move 15 feet to Gunter, and then just try to pull him backwards. Pulling somebody backwards halves your movement, so you could actually get him. You could go to him and then yank him back to the door.
Cool. That's what I'm gonna do.
All right. So Gunter, all of a sudden, as these arrows are raining around you, only 2 hit. One of them hits hard, and there are other ones just skittering off the stone. And you could hear again, "Ready!" And you hear like more bows beginning to draw. All of a sudden, you feel these firm, very, very familiar hands on your shoulders. But for once, instead of shoving you to the ground and pinning you, there's this flurry of movement, and your legs leave the ground as she yanks you back 15 feet.
Oh, the GameCube!
You guys are now all standing in the doorway with Morwen about 10 feet beyond.
At my GameCube.
Anything else, Shay?
No, that's it for now.
All right, Gunter, what do you want to do more when you're on deck?
So now I'm in the doorway?
Yeah.
Okay.
Heinrich is back and to the left of you. Shay is directly behind you. Morwen, you do not see.
Oh, God. Are we running here?
You heard Heinrich yell. What would you yell?
I said, "Get back," or like back to the door, or something like that.
So you heard Heinrich yell, "Get back!" before he began sprinting away.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm gonna just I'm booking it as best I can.
So Gunter, you break free of the grasp of Shay, and you just begin kind of scurrying down the stairs. You can hear the grunting noises as it just kind of goes down.
Get the hell out of here!
You make it down into the winding corridor that will eventually lead you back to the place that you had first encountered the first bandit group. You make it down the stairs and about 10 feet beyond. That is your turn. Morwen, what would you like to do?
I'm going to run over to where Heinrich is and take full cover where I can. But
So all of a sudden, for all of you, you just see like these eyes, and then the rest of Morwen as she streaks forwards and then sort of appears near you guys.
Are you trying to run? Because I'm trying to mad dash into there and just get this bitch and leave.
And all you're seeing is just like arrows zoom by you as you're having this
And
conversation.
I hear that? Okay.
Is that your turn, Morwen?
I hide.
Okay, make a stealth check. You see, Morwen asks this as she runs by, and you turn to sort of address
She's
her.
gone.
That's a 23.
Just Batman, nowhere. You just don't see her anymore. Morwen, you just duck down, and where the torch casts a flickering shadow, you glue yourself to the wall. That is your turn. It is the oil's turn. And given how far you guys moved, 10. So using their full movement, there is now this kind of lunging oil form. And it just streaks towards you. The other one kind of following it. They're not very fast. And compared to Shay, they're downright slow. They make it to the doorway. They're now looming in front of you, but cannot attack because that takes their dash. That is their turn. That brings us to Heinrich. What do you want to do?
Awesome. Wall of fire, I encircle them both.
Fantastic. Okay.
Because if they explode, I wanted my friends to be out of the way.
Yeah, sure. This is going to be really interesting. So standing in the doorway.
I'm gonna like no. Like it's not like it's like I am knowing what I'm doing. So I'm gonna step like back a little bit and then just cast to like ring them in, which would I guess cover the doorway as well. But like
sure.
Using
okay.
all
So you take 5 feet of movement
of
back
the thing and just like loop them in and like make sure it's like getting.
So
them.
you're like ring of fire.
Yeah, more or less.
So how does it look? You've never cast Ring of Fire.
I feel like it would just kind of. It would just be like, shit,
A lasso?
It's not a lasso. I can't do that. I'm not a fucking cowboy. I feel like it would just kind of, it would be more of like one of those like raising motions, and it would be almost like a pillar where like the fire comes from down to up and just like raises. And I kind of hold it in that shape, like mimicking the shape with my hands of like holding the sides of a cylinder, or like the sides, the sides of a cylinder.
Yeah. All one of them.
The cylinder, kind of like holding it like that.
You put your hands like this, and as you do, you can see on your skin itself, these glyphs spin into motion, circular with triangles that seem to almost intermingle. And as you pull your hand up, you feel weight move with it. And for the rest of you, you can see this teal, almost flame, flicker, almost like birthday candles around in a circle before suddenly, as Heinrich shifts his hands up, this wall of fire, like a large 60-foot diameter cylinder, just erupts out, I think 20 feet high?
20 feet diameter, 20 feet up. It's a 60-foot wall or 20 feet diameter.
And it literally,
like I cut them both.
It literally licks into the wall, or into the ceiling. The flame stretching from floor to ceiling. The entirety of the space is suddenly blindingly bright with this teal flame. And there is this intense heat for both you and for Shay, because you guys are only about 5 feet away. Now, very quickly, I got to check, because even though this is my homebrewed character, what's it called, monster, I don't remember all the wording.
That's fine. They have some things they'll have to do, but it'll definitely hit them.
Okay, so go ahead, and that deals damage, because that is going to touch them as you cast it.
Yeah, even if they, like, anyone within the area has to make a dex saving throw, but they probably wouldn't be able to get out of the way because they're so fucking big. So it's up to you.
I'm going to say that they can't.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, there's no possible way that they'd be able to save from this. From like the closeness to which you are getting, yeah, no way.
Okay, perfect. And here we go. 4, 10, 16, 24, 27,
31.
31.
37.
37
plus 5. 41 fire damage.
1 points of fire damage. Okay. So, a couple things.
Oh, you know what? I'm an idiot. That was supposed to be D8s, but I rolled a shitload of 6s, so we'll just, my mistake, roll it like that.
No worries.
Also, you did the
As
wrong
you-
it's 42.
Oops, yeah, 42, and it should have been d8s, not d6s. I'm an idiot, but whatever. Let's just say that I'll take the nice average right there.
As you pull this wall of fire up and it catches onto these creatures, you can see licks of flame race across their bodies before they ignite and erupt. I need everybody to make a dexterity saving throw, except for
I
Gunter.
figured
Let's
as
see.
much. I figured as much, but
Because
at least
I
we're
have-
in the hallway and not like out in open cover. Or open
Bad
terrain.
dexterity.
I got a 19.
Okay, you were fine.
21.
I got a 13.
Okay, so Shay and Morwen, you guys kind of hiding and preparing yourself easily. And Shay, you with the years of training as a Zinni monk, no problem. You guys scamper mostly out of the way. We're going to get back to that in a second. Heinrich, you actually still in place, raising this pillar of fire yourself, get caught full in the chest with like your hands upraised. You take 15 points of fire damage. Actually, not that bad. As it just explodes. Oh yeah, halved. You're a tiefling. Look at this.
And this is rounded down and shit, or is it rounded
This
up?
would be rounded down.
Okay, so 7.
Yeah, in D&D in
Nice.
general, you round down.
Cool.
Additionally, no, that's it. So
This makes sense. The first time I cast this, that I would fuck it up somehow.
yeah, I wouldn't even say it's pretty effective.
Right,
The
learning
first,
lesson though.
as this huge like explosion happens, most of you are able to get away. Heinrich, you, as like your vision returns, there is a ringing in your ears. You can see there is only one of these creatures left. However, it is currently engulfed in flames and still approaching very quickly.
Okay.
But that is anything else?
Can I move?
Yeah,
I'm gonna
you
draw
can
its
move.
attention, and so there's another opening from this like enclosure that we're in, right?
Yep, to the right. You can move to the right.
Yeah, I'm just gonna dash to the right, and is that a pillar that I see there?
It is indeed, with a torch on the northern part of it.
Cool. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 30. I'm gonna get to the bottom right corner of it with the
Sure.
full movement.
So as the explosion knocks you backwards, you almost fall to your feet, your knee hitting the ground before you and you guys can all hear the full scale armor just with the impact before you get up and just begin moving, already like brushing bits of fire off yourself.
Mhm.
And you skirt over to that pillar. Anything else?
No,
Okay. It is these bandits' turn. At the
that
moment,
wall is still there, by the way.
yeah, at the moment they can't see you at all. You guys can
Yeah.
hear from beyond it the sound of like the bugbear yelling out "Fire!" and like now there's like screams. You can hear the sound of like flesh on flesh, somebody trying to pat somebody out, perhaps. And you remember again that splash of corrosive oil that had kind of splattered across them. You would imagine those guys all probably on fire now. And you actually hear like 3 or 4 voices wailing in pain before 2 of them just snuff out. But yeah, great spell.
The
That
wall is
is,
still there for a whole minute, by the way.
yeah, I know.
Okay, cool. Just making sure
that's
that
their turn.
wasn't ignored.
Shay, it is your turn. Gunter, you are on deck. Morwen, you are after that.
Well, considering all of that is still very much on fire, I'm just gonna follow Heinrich.
Okay. So you just to the right and follow Heinrich to the pillar. Anything else?
Just, if I get hit, I'm throwing it back.
Okay. That brings us to Gunter. You are now down the hallway. You hear this like the sound of the explosion going back. You hear screams and wails. Still running?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
making my way down.
You take your full 40 feet of movement with your dash. It's 50, right?
50.
50 with your dash.
Alright.
And you make it, you go down the hallway and wind to the left, and you can now see the flickering bits of fire coming from that chamber where the bandits had originally camped, that group that you had.
They're not there anymore. Or were they still tied up? I don't know.
There's 2 of them still tied up there. You can see the golden
I see
eyes
them.
of the Dragonborn awake, just staring at you now. But the other one still appears unconscious. He was hit pretty hard.
All right, how
Um,
far away is he?
Maybe like 70 feet, like right at the edge of your vision.
Okay, cool.
That is your turn. Morwen, what do you want to do?
Oh, actually, could I bonus action heal myself a little?
What are you going to use to heal yourself?
I think just a quick healing word. Just like, walk it off, Kunti. Walk it off.
Just kind of shaking a little bit. You give yourself that moral and physical bit of support. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right.
So where's the wall?
The wall is basically like this right here. I mean, 20 feet diameter is basically like... So the whole left side of like the first third of the room is encircled.
How much healing is that, Gunter?
One
I went
sec.
this way. I'm like right there. Shay's like right there or behind me. Come over here.
While you were counting that up, Morwen, what would you like to do?
I'm going to. What?
No, it's a good idea.
Okay. I'm going to get. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying
What do
to
you wanna
like
do?
how to say this to you.
Sure, yeah.
To the right.
Alright, so I'm gonna
It
go
was
to the
7.
right and up next to the big crate on the right hand side as far into the room as I can.
Okay, so
makes
you're going to
sense.
go to the right as far into the room as you can? 10,
Yeah,
15,
on the other
30.
side of the crate, on the right side of the crate. To,
Are you
kind of,
dashing?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no problem. You can tuck yourself right. You can go on either square to the right of that crate if you would like.
I'll do the one that's
Top
right there.
Top or bottom left.
Okay.
top.
Top. Okay, no problem. You dart out, you go around and through where Heinrich and Shay are. And Heinrich and Shay, you see Morwen just to the right and to the side of the crate. Are you doing anything over there?
Yeah, I want to see observation look. I want to find out if the girl is still, I mean, I'm sure the prisoner is still there, but if the guard is right there, and like what's the status of everyone on fire and all that shit.
Sure. Make a perception check.
Do, 15.
When your paws wrap around the side of this crate and you peer out, and you can see in front of you, probably about 30 feet away, that first kind of row of crates on the left, there is a corpse, this body horribly charred, still flickers of this teal kind of flame across what is essentially just layers of cloth that have been layered up to create cloth armor, if you will. But probably a human just kind of smoldering. There's another one that's kind of, you can see dragging himself back, his legs on fire and much shorter than they should be. Elements of them actually burned away. There is screaming. There are a few of them that are running. You can see probably about 6 in total that seem to have kept their wits about them and are not on fire. You see, I would say with a 15 from where that is, diagonal, and then to the left of that corpse by about 5 feet, there is a cage. And now you can see hands wrapped around the bars, these 2 large eyes peering not at you, actually. She doesn't see you, but kind of taking in what's happening fairly calmly. You can see this individual, dwarven, one of the cold rots by the look of them. You can see the sort of greasier black hair and the slightly nicer complexion than the rest of them. But she has this complicated braid that starts right at the base of her head and kind of goes back through the middle. Her hair is long and comes around, the braid itself ending over her right shoulder. You would imagine that is Helia Coldrot from the explanation that the bandits below had given you. That is what you see.
It... Okay, so I don't see... Well, I did originally see that there was a guard
he's
right up.
Charred corpse.
Oh.
Yep, he's dead.
He's the one who's on the ground dead 5 feet to the right of it.
Wonderful. I'm going to look back to you guys and be like, wonderful.
You guys see
looking.
all of a sudden this... Oh yeah, so you guys don't see.
Well,
But,
I'm focusing on my pillar that I just created, like, holy shit.
Visually see me purring.
The visual purr. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay.
I hide again because that's what
Sure.
I do.
Make a
But
stealth check.
natural 20. So 31.
And as Morwen, you turn and gleam, you guys aren't paying attention. You're focusing on this pillar, Shay. You're looking for something incoming. And for a second, each of you at some point kind of glances over. Morwen is nowhere. But that is Morwen's turn. It is this oil's turn.
Spooky.
Yeah, I've been seeing it. It's beautiful out there right now.
I hope we don't lose.
Yeah, me too. Because I have terrible power.
We have so much wood around us.
Oh my
come
god,
on.
wait, it's actually a 33, but that doesn't matter.
I mean, it sort of does, but not right now.
I mean, on a natural 20, it does.
Shay, one of these oils is able to or the only remaining oil itself entirely encased in flame, is now like bubbling towards you. The oil itself at a boiling point. The smell of hot pitch is just oozing out, and it does make it to you. It's going to take an attack.
Well, it takes the damage as it passes through the wall.
Oh, that's right. It's not just the first time.
No,
No, as
it's
long
while
as
the
it's
while the wall is there. As soon as anything tries to pass through it, or ends its turn within 10 feet of the side that I decided was like on fire or leaning.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Go ahead and
lean
make
inwards.
roll damage for it. Yeah.
All right. Okay. 11, 10. Oh shit. 20, 23,
That wasn't
23.
watching.
23. 26. 28 fire.
28 points of fire damage. All right, that's a total of 69 so far. So this thing
Sorry.
is
Hey.
all of a sudden the flames are like rising up as you see it approaching Shay. You slide your hands almost unconsciously upwards, and you can see the flames intensify and start to burn away at this creature. However, it is still alive and is going to take a swing at you, Shay.
Okay.
That is going to be. Let me just pull up the stat card here. That's going to be a 15 to hit.
Negative.
Yeah, fantastic. So, it on fire, real easy to see coming. This is slow, and as it swings forwards, easily you duck under it without even feeling the heat, and you emerge on the other side. That is its turn. Heinrich, what do you want
Take
to
a
do?
reaction and smack it, since I was.
You said specifically you were waiting for incoming missiles, so I'm going to say probably not.
I was
All right.
It's not moving out of-
missile.
It's not moving out of your attack range, so you're not going to get an attack of opportunity.
So
on
it's
it.
no longer. Is it any longer in this fire? No, it's passed
No
through.
longer is it in the fire. It has passed through.
I'll leave it up just for the sake of like drawing the attention
It's
of.
it's
all
blocking
of
the
fucking
view
people.
of everybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
So-
great wall.
While holding that concentrate, I'm going to Eldritch Blast it back through the wall.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. That will put it right through 10 feet. Yeah, go ahead. Roll your check.
So both beams. First one is a 15.
15 hits.
Oh well, okay. I'll just roll both then first, and then another. Oh, and then an 18, which we know hits.
That definitely hits.
That. So. 15 points of force, and then push it back through the wall.
One sec here. Let me think. Okay, so you don't even need to roll damage.
Okay.
You bring it to 1 health with the damage from the Eldritch Blast. So this
Mhm.
first blast, as it hits it, you can see the oil just kind of tremble, and for a moment, you can see it almost scatters into separate droplets before it back together and is pulled from the force of the blast through the fire, where there is this almost as it sublimates into nothing. It's dead. That is the oil's gone.
right.
And anything else?
I muttered to myself, "The fuck is Gunter?"
That is your turn. That brings us to
Yeah, I'm
the
gonna-
bandits.
For the sake of it, I'm going to just push myself up against the crate.
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
Just start moving forward to assist it with Morwen, basically. Like
Okay, so you
the bottom
rush.
right corner of the crate.
Yeah, you rush forward. The fire on your left side, the crate in front of you, and begin to move forward. You get to the crate. It is these bandits' turn. I don't think. I still don't see you. I would say what you guys can see, the two of you, because you're, and maybe Shay, you can make out like a little bit of this. At this point, you could see the 6 that are still kind of remaining. They've given up on trying to help one of the ones that's on fire. 2 of them are going towards that cage. One of them, actually, okay, one of them stops at the charred body, and you can see they grab something from the side of it and pull away. There's a snap of blackened flesh as the key ring like breaks through the fingers that had kind of welded together. It goes over and begins to unlock this door. The other 4 are kind of, it looks as if they're waiting, bows drawn, like looking around. There is this edge to them. They're like right on the edge of breaking. But that is their turn. They're holding their action, or they're readying their action. Shay, what do you want to do?
Is the column of fire impeding my progress into where they are, or no?
From where it is, it's not impeding. You would need to go to the right and around the crate, like around where Heinrich is, to then like bow back in and get to them. But you could get to, give me one sec, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 65, 70. With 70 feet of movement, you can get to the nearest one.
Cool. I'm gonna run up and hit him.
Okay. So with your 70 is your full movement, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So you rush past Heinrich. You like sprinted to get to the crate. Before you even get to the crate, Shay has passed you. Shay, you rush up and you can see there are 3 of them with these bows drawn. They were like waiting for somebody to approach. So that is going to be 3 attacks against you.
Okay.
That is going to be a 19. Actually, sorry, 2 19s and a 11.
The 19's hit.
Okay. That is going to be 9 points of piercing damage.
These are arrows, correct?
These are arrows, yeah.
I can deflect missiles.
And is that a bonus action to do it?
It's a reaction.
It's a reaction. Okay, yeah, go ahead. You can reaction a reaction. I happen to know that you can do that. It's counterspell. You can counterspell, so you can definitely react to react.
Yep.
Plus, it's... I rolled a 6 plus 4 plus 10, so that's 20. I reduce it by 20 points of damage.
You reduce it by 20. So as it streaks in, you actually catch the one arrow that was going to hit you. And are you turning it and throwing it?
Yes, I am.
For one motion,
There we go.
Whole body twisting before you whip it back. Go ahead and make a ranged weapon attack.
Cat.
Dirty
Cattail.
20.
Dirty 20. Yeah, that hits. Roll damage on that. So that's
What is
a
it?
D6 plus your dexterity modifier.
8.
8. I gotta check these guys actually. That might be enough. 8. So as you catch this mid-step, you turn and then like forehand, whip it back. You can hear this as it zips forwards and strikes one of them right in the sides of the knee. You can hear just, oh, my knee! And he just drops down right on the nose.
My God.
Oh,
And
he went to work in Whiterun.
if he survives. But Shay, he is now kind of downed a little bit, not prone. But what do you want to do? You get right up to them.
Great. I'm gonna hit the one right in front of me.
Okay, that's the one like already bent down. You like rush up, and even at 5'4", you're looming over him now. You can see this like terrified looking, maybe like middle-aged human, scruffy black hair, like 8 o'clock shadow, really kind of coming in.
How well? Just like, can I get a quick glance? Like, how far everybody else is ahead of me? 10 feet, 15 feet, 20 feet.
Ahead of you? Oh, you mean the enemies?
Yes.
Yeah. So ahead of where you are, you can see that there is one diagonally about 5 feet behind.
Mhm.
There's one about 10 feet behind him. And then the other ones are all running. So you can see there's 2 that are almost at the right staircase. And there's one that seems to be running towards that center table.
Okay. Bonus action, Step of the Wind,
Okay.
and I'm going for the one at the going after the table.
So all of a sudden, seeing the one that's moving towards the table, your instincts kick in and you can feel for a moment how much lighter you are than you really should be, and you move incredibly quickly. You realign the energy within your body to propel you forwards. And as you do so, Heinrich, you being the closest, you see just like a single feather, maybe one of Krodik's, just kind of onto the ground. But Shay, you get right up to him and that gives you 70 feet of movement?
Yes, it does.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Yeah, no problem. You catch up to him in 30 feet. You can see this individual is the drow. Black skin, white hair that's been really patchily cut. You can see he was holding a dagger, but even as you catch up, turns his eyes wide. You can see the bags underneath.
It's a
What are you doing?
natural 20 to punch him in the face.
Sure. Wait, so Step of the Wind is a bonus action?
Yes, it is.
And so as an action you attacked, you move.
As a reaction, I caught the arrow.
Mhm.
Bonus action.
Through the arrow.
Yep.
Bonus action, Step of the Wind, but you hit the guy.
As part of the reaction.
Yes, you're right. Okay, cool. Go ahead, roll that attack. Oh, that's natural 20, you said. Natural 20. Yeah, roll damage.
Monks, man.
Natural 20 with a monk is the only
No.
way that a natural 20 may not kill this guy.
14.
So, Shay, you catch up to him, and as you do, you take your elbow and jam it into his back. You hear this as his back breaks. He drops to the ground, and you can hear this, and he's trying to speak, but you probably irreparably damaged this person. He has 1 health left. But you can see one hand still kind of outstretching, but he's real bad. Anything else?
Damage? Yeah, I have 1 more hit.
Okay, yeah. If you want to make it, go for it.
I mean, if it seems like he's not going to recover from that, I'm going to put him out of his misery.
Okay, go ahead.
Or attempt.
I mean, he broke his back and everything's on fire, so like.
And Gunter isn't here to see it, so it's not
Roll
like...
at advantage. It's advantage too because he's prone.
Well, that makes it 23.
He feels it. He can tell.
So it's almost kind of like you hit him with the elbow, and as you feel it crack in your mind, in like a split second, you decide like he's not going to recover, and you drive it a little bit harder, and you feel the spine itself actually snap. It severs cleanly, and he just dies. Yeah, that's well done. Anything else?
The little bit of movement, I have left.
You still have 35 feet of movement.
I'm not leaving the room, but I want to put myself in a place that's inconvenient for the rest of them to get to me. If that's a good way to say it.
To get at you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can shift off to the left, and with your movement, you can get to that staircase. I mean, anywhere within those boxes, whatever you want to do.
Cool. Works for me.
Okay, so you duck over towards the staircase. That is your turn. That brings us to Gunter. Gunter, beneath, what are you doing?
I'm making my way towards the guy on the ground with the nice armor, and I'm taking my armor off.
Dragonborn.
So Gunter, as you're walking, you slow just enough to pull the crusty cloak aside, and you begin to disrobe. And as you're approaching this Dragonborn,
he's like, "Whoa, dude! Whoa, no!"
You can just hear, "This is the fresh terror that awaited." And doing anything else? I mean, it takes your movement. It would take your movement and a dash to get within 20 feet of him. You're slow. Man. You're a dwarf.
So
you're sorry, you're freezing up a little bit. So in just a second, I'm going to have you repeat what you're saying.
He's
I know it takes. So wait, you just he's still stalling out.
He's not. Are you there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now you're here.
He's not trying to like step up on me, right? He's not sneaking or anything. Like,
seeing as how, as far as you can tell,
he's still tied up.
Would you like to go a little slower and make a perception check?
I would like to see if he's
Make a perception check. Yeah.
I would like to make sure that he's not going to be like, haha, I'm not tied.
You're still. Then that's going to leave you about 45 feet away from him.
That's enough. I can get there next turn.
Okay.
From up.
Is Krodik not down there?
Krodik, from where Gunter is, he cannot see Krodik, but Krodik is presumably down there.
That's a 17.
17. Okay. With a 17, looking in, you can see, because from the position that Heinrich had burst him into the wall, he's kind of laying on his stomach, his head turned to the side so you can see his face. His hands are still bound behind him.
Cool. Okay.
Cool. So you approaching now this bound Dragonborn. Morwen, what do you want to do? Heinrich, you are on deck.
Running the fuck in there up to the cage.
Okay, so from where you are, it's going to be 10, 20, 30. It's going to take about 60 feet of movement to get to the cage.
Okay, then I'll use my feline agility.
Okay, so
I know what to do.
I wasn't gonna say that. It was something else.
you begin to run, and as you do, you almost drop down to all fours, and for 2 or 3 of the paces, you bound very much like a feline before you reach the bars. And as you slow yourself, you can see this dwarf kind of draw back. And
Are there people? Are there guards near me?
you
or
look to your right,
bandits
there's
near
this
me?
charred corpse kind of at your feet, but aside from that, nobody near you.
Oh, so they just took the keys and left?
There was one that took the key, ran over, and then because of what he saw, began to run away. There's the corpse kind of now directly behind you. But those are the only people beside the dwarf that are anywhere within like 30 feet or even really visually within your range.
All right, I'm gonna try to pick this lock then.
Okay. Go ahead and you're making a lockpicking check, which is a dexterity check with your proficiency modifier because you have proficiency in thieves' tools.
And I'm an expert in it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it's going to be 8. So it's going to be plus 13. So it's a 19.
Wow. Okay. That's low for you.
Yeah.
So you,
So
in the
let's hope
rush,
it's high enough.
in the rush, I mean, you're like fumbling with your lockpicks. You're drawing them out as you approach, and you like even in motion try to jam it in. It kind of off for a second, but you manage to get it in, and very quickly. This is not a terribly complicated lock. There is this sound, and the door swings open, and you can see now in front of you Helia Coldrot, the dwarven relation to Doldrum, the sort of godfather of the Coldrot crime family. You want to say anything?
Yeah, I'm just gonna tell her that I'm here to rescue you per whatever has got Doldrum.
Okay. I added her to the initiative at initiative 3, so actually she's going to go before Heinrich. You can see she looks you up and down for a brief second, nods to you and says, "It's impressive. Let's get out of here." And she turns and begins to kind of run. And I'm going to say, based on where you guys all are, she's running by that chair. And you can see she's kind of moving now between the crates. She seems to be heading towards the doorway that Shay is nearest, or the stairs that Shay is closest to. That is her turn. Heinrich, what do you want to do?
So now everyone's ahead. So I'm going to round the corner and get basically as far into the room as I can. If I'm on the corner, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I feel like I would just get
stairs.
I would just get to the
Yeah,
left
she
of
said it
that
over to
right
me.
barricade. I think that's 30 feet right there.
Left to the back right barricade? Yeah, you can do that. No problem.
Okay, that's like the full movement that I have.
The
And
back.
from there, what do I see?
So you currently are on the right side of that crate.
Yep.
You could go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You could get to like the midline of the room if you wanted. I mean,
I guess just like right next to the barride's fine. Just
Okay,
in case
sure.
like I need to duck back or something.
Okay, so you roll
I'll
right
reserve
next to
5
that
feet of
barricade.
movement. And reserving the 5 feet of movement, what do I like? Any more immediate threats basically in the room currently?
Okay, sure. So you peer there. From there, you can see Morwen. You see this cage with the door open. There's no occupant. There is a charred body kind of at her feet. But you kind of are waiting to see what happens.
Well, is there any more people in the room right now that are posing a threat is what I was asking.
Oh, as a threat? No. You can see that there are now 2 individuals who are heading up the right staircase.
Okay, can I just shoot to maim, not kill both of them?
Non-lethal damage? Sure. Go ahead and roll your attacks.
Non-lethal, 1 bolt each, 10 feet push in case I slam them into the wall, but not killing them. That's the hope.
Go for it.
Okay, so one of them with an 18.
That hits.
Okay. And then one of them, well above that, 16 plus, so 25.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll your non-lethal damage. Go ahead and you can add a d6 to both of them because they are hitting that wall.
Okay. All right. So first one takes 12, and then the second one takes 6.
Okay. So the first one you can see has some like blackened portions. It was one of those ones that was splattered with the oil. You let off this eldritch blast of force energy that bubbles through the air and slams into him. You hear this as he slams into the wall and then drops down unmoving. The second one, you kind of clip him on the leg, and though he does slam into the wall, is able to kind of get up, and he seems to be crawling back to his feet to continue running. That is your turn?
Yeah, that was all the movement. So I guess
Okay.
5 more feet forward just for the sake of continuing going forward.
Okay, you begin like walking forward again, and you can see this one remaining human looks at the person that you just knocked unconscious at his feet, and you can hear him just go, "It's not worth it," and he just like books it up the stairs.
I feel like you would see me silhouetted in like my column of fire.
For sure, yeah, it's like a terrifying. You're
So you're the
backlit
devil.
from behind.
Yeah.
Your hand still has like the
swear
expiring
I'm good, you
runes
guys.
of the force damage like disappearing. But fantastic. That is your turn. That brings us to their turn. That they ran away. At this moment, because there is this fire raging, but no living bandits, I'm going to take you guys out of initiative order. Hylia is currently running towards the. Okay, so all of a sudden, as you look and you see that last one disappear, you finally, almost unconscious that even with that force blast, you had left one hand up to maintain it. You just kind of let go, and all of a sudden the fire is just gone.
It's like when you're clenching your jaw and you don't realize it, and then you just kind of like, oh shit, and then you like let go of that clench.
Very much. And there is almost like a relief as this magic sort of seeps back into your body. But at the moment, you can see Hylia, when that happens, sort of like slide almost to a stop, turning and kind of looking, and she seems to be sort of evaluating what's going on. But with that, what do you guys want to do? I'm going to say, actually, Gunter.
Let's go to Gunter, yeah.
Start with you. So, Gunter, you now approaching this Dragonborn. Are you naked? Like, what stage undress are you getting to?
I'm taking off the armor that just got splashed with the acid.
Okay.
So that means I probably have to take off the now acid soaked.
Okay, so you get rid of the bandages.
Yeah, I'm probably just down to like the old diaper wrap thing that I got rocking.
So Gunter, this emaciated 287-year-old dwarf, liver spots, wandering, kind of cataract eyes, completely bald, not a speck of hair on your body. You kind of emerge into the room. Krodek, who is seated before, just kind of, and you see eyes closed, the eyes suddenly open. And though they open calmly at first, there is this brief moment where you see them open a little wider. Gunter.
Not now, Krodek, and I'm gonna go straight over to the the Dragonborn on the ground.
As you move towards
it's like
him,
about the same size, kind of.
No, but as you move towards him, there is this kind of, and suddenly Krodek is in front of you, and he holds out a hand and just says, "Gunter, Shay would expect you to wait."
I gotta. There's stuff up there now. I gotta get his stuff on. Mine's all soaked. Look, I gesture to my acid-soaked, messed up armor.
His head turns, and you see the air.
While he's turning, I move. I make my move.
Okay. He's gonna go ahead and make an attack against you.
What? Krodek, I thought we were bros.
It's a 22 to hit.
Krodek.
And you don't.
That was a perfect freeze.
He was shaved bro first, though.
So go ahead and make an athletics check, Gunter.
Jesus, what is Krodek doing? I thought we were bros.
Well, he asked you to stop.
Athletics check or save?
Check.
Ooh,
Composing
okay.
athletics checks.
That's a 19.
All right, he rolls a 21. So as you try to dart by him, he's a monk that has trained for years as a scout of the Zinyi.
I thought we were bros.
He darts his arm out and just very gently kind of catches you and just steers you back in front of him. Gunter, please don't make me do something that we'll both regret.
They need my help up there. I gotta get some armor on them all.
Naked?
And you can see like the tiny bit of fat on Gunter kind of wobbling up and down, just held in by the wrinkles. And you actually see the very composed Krodek just his head comes back just a little bit. I understand that you are upset, but if Shay is not down here, then...
Oh, so Shay's your master now, huh?
No, but she's faster than you.
That doesn't mean anything. She might be faster, but I'm smarter.
If there was a retreat happening, she would already be here.
It is kind of weird that they didn't follow me.
From behind Krodek, you hear, Dwarf.
Who's that?
And on the ground, you can see the Dragonborn kind of coughing. He spits out a Dragonborn tooth, this jagged sort of thing that scatters across from the last time that he was slammed into this wall. You want the armor?
Yeah, I want the armor.
Untie me, and it is yours.
Why would I untie you?
You're gonna get it
You can
off.
see
You're in
Krodek-
no position to bargain with me now.
You see Krodek just turn and say, Gunter, do not engage with him. He will play tricks with you.
He can't trick me. I'm the master.
And Gunter, you see he just sort of looks up and he says, you need to untie me to get the armor off.
Or how about I just cut your head off first and then untie you?
You can
Didn't think
see
of that, did you?
this small hint of a smile and the missing tooth forming a gap between them. I suggest you just untie me. Go ahead and make a wisdom saving throw, Gunter.
Wisdom
That's why I was
saving
keeping it
throw.
unconscious. I figured
Yeah,
it-
that's good luck, buddy, because that's a 24.
Oh, shit.
Okay, you feel as he says, I suggest this sort of puff of consciousness interact with your own before all of a sudden you just kind of shake it off. You're old. People have tried to cast spells on you before. Doesn't take effect.
Oh, what? Do I know that he just tried to cast suggestion on me?
Yes, you do. Well, you don't know suggestion necessarily, but you do know that he attempted to
Oh,
cast it.
place! And I go to kick him in the face.
Oh,
Well, I guess I have to break free from Krodek to go
You would,
kick him in
yeah.
the face. But I'm gonna try to break free from Krodek so that
Make
at
it-
least if I fail, I'm like, I'm swiping at him.
make an athletics check.
Swiping at him with your long.
Yeah, it's
nails.
probably a fail. Let's
Yeah,
see.
I'm gonna guess it is. I don't think you can physically roll a 32 for an athletics check, but
It's an eight.
yeah. So Gunter, now you're just like swinging at this Dragonborn, like pinwheeling your old arms, almost naked. And Krodek, just to kind of keep himself a little bit less in touch with you, takes one hand off, still easily holding you in place, but keeping you at enough of a distance where the flaps and spots are not necessarily touching him too much. Gunter, please, you are embarrassing yourself.
No, you're embarrassing me because you won't let me get this guy's armor. He's sitting over there. He's not even sitting. He's on the ground. You
Let
see him.
us wait for the others, and we can give you this armor. I'm sure nobody else needs it. I do not believe it will fit you, though.
Oh, we would never know if we don't try.
Then I look forward to finding out.
Krodek, since when did you become pet?
And so, for a second, we're going to go back to Heinrich, Morwen, and Shay. You guys up above now. What are you guys doing? Heinrich, you let this fire drop. Shay, you are right by this table all the way at the other end of the room. And more when you stand by this cage, you can see Helia stopped running now and is kind of turned, just regarding the entirety of the room.
I want to check out the table.
Let's the what?
The table. What's important about this
Okay.
table?
Make an
Ooh, there's a
investigation
map.
check.
There's a map. There's a map.
That is an 18.
Okay. It is not a map. As you approach, you can see that there is just kind of torn out of a book, perhaps. Just a very, very simple drawing. Let me see. I can't remember which book I put it in. But it appears to be taken from the perspective of somebody standing on the other side of a wall, the wall partially stone and broken away. Just one sec. There it is. You see almost exactly this. These sort of stone bricks very much matching the ones that make up parts of the pillar of stairs. This object beyond, not very well rendered, but appears to be like a three-dimensional hollow sphere of some kind.
Okay.
And with an 18, I would say you also notice that in the corner of one of the bricks, there appears to be shapes that at first seem to be part of the stone, but as you really look at them, there seems to be some kind of a symbology there, although it doesn't necessarily jump out at you, the meaning. Also on that table, there are what look like these little glass beads, and you can see kind of off to the left of that drawing. To the right of it, you can see there is a quill that's been laid down, and there is like a little pot of what seems to be fairly fine quality ink. In front of the table, there is a stool, and then 3 crates. Although the crates are empty, they seem to be having been used as kind of like a seats, basically.
Okay. I think I would call
Morlin,
Heinrich over and what do you make of this drawing?
I'll start traversing the room as you do your thing. I'm like less interested in. It wasn't my idea to come here to save this person, so I'll let you do that. I guess I'll just start walking over to the table to look at the drawing as well.
Yeah.
I'll give what's her name? Helia.
Helia.
I'll give Helia like a mirror, or not a mirror, a minor illusion like wave with like fire, just to be like, yeah, that was me. It's like
as you wave, there's this trail of teal fire that crackles off your arm, and then it seems to kind of vanish. There is this
it's
kind
sort
of small,
like magnifying the caster with the spell.
Yeah, and she gives like a little bit of a smile, and she's actually going to turn and start walking towards you. But you're going over towards Shay.
Yeah, and the table. She like waves
So as
me
you,
over, check out
yeah,
the
as
paper,
you,
and I'm like, oh, books, yeah.
as you draw close to the paper, you see the same drawing. You can see that there are these little symbols, and they're not a language. They don't rearrange themselves as part of the invocation or the invocation that you've taken. But it appears to be maybe some kind of a code or a marking. Definitely not part of the natural stone.
Okay. Do you mind if I keep this, Jay? Do you want it? Can I have it?
It means nothing to me.
Perfect. And I just roll it up and I'll put it in the bag.
And right back into the handy haversack it goes. Handy haversack, by the way, getting pretty full again.
Yeah, I'm gonna do some inventory. I'll probably just not bother on camera. Be like, when we're resting, I go through it and I'll just let you know what I'm getting rid of.
Works for me. So that is what you guys are doing. Morwin, meanwhile, you can see Helia, who originally was looking at you, but then as Heinrich gives this flame wave, she begins walking towards Heinrich.
I'm going to go over to the stairs and just like listen in to see if I hear a bunch of people coming at us.
Yeah, make a perception check.
All right, 23.
Okay. You go in and you get up to the stairs, and you can see as the stairs go up, they seem to emerge into another stone room. But the air is different. The air flowing down from the staircase, a little bit fresher, a little bit cooler. And you can actually sort of hear sounds beyond. You can hear footsteps kind of fading out, and then you hear this as a door slams shut above. And then you wait for a second, and you don't hear any noise.
All right, I join everyone at the table.
Okay. So you guys now kind of grouped up around the table. Helia arrives, and you guys sort of are all converged now in front of this very makeshift wooden table.
So, not that anyone's rushing to come fight us or kill us, but I do feel like we should be getting back downstairs.
I mean, that's the plan, isn't it? I don't know where Gunter is, but I'm assuming he's still down there as well.
Helia
I nudge you and I point out like your ward, I guess, is here if you want to talk to her.
My who?
Helia.
Oh,
The
hi,
person
Helia.
you're looking
How you
for.
doing? Are you doing okay?
He turns and looks at you. Ah, you know my name then. So did my dad send you, or?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, then you know what we're trying to do. We've got to get to the Ring of Gold before too long. Shall we get going?
What?
The Ring of Gold. If Doldrum sent you, then of course he's told you what we're after.
I don't think it was Doldrum we met or talked to.
Oh shit, who was it?
I didn't talk to them.
Yambo.
Wait a minute. Then, are you saying that in character?
Me?
I'm assuming, Heinrich?
Well, oh.
Yeah, I'd be like, yeah, that wasn't like we haven't met him yet. We were just sent to retrieve her. I thought that's what the whole point of this
Wait,
is.
Okay, can I
Her
roll
life
to
was in
remember
danger, and
who
we needed
asked
to
me?
save her.
You would remember, Morwen would remember that it's Grunvar Coldroth that sent you, a cousin of Doldrum.
Ah, okay. It's what was his name? You just told me.
Grunvar.
Grunvar.
Grunvar. Grunvar?
Just say Grunvar. You got it. That's fine.
Whatever. He's the one who
Gumbo.
I met.
Okay. Odd that he would send you. He's in a little bit of trouble with Doldrum. Maybe trying to get back on his good side. Either way, are all of you maybe interested in a little bit of work?
I'm going to be honest. This kind of already.
She's like
was
glancing
work.
kind of up at the stairs and sort of trying to move this conversation along quickly. You get the sense that there is some urgency from her demeanor.
But give me the deets.
We are probably in a place that we shouldn't linger long, so maybe we leave and then we talk about this in a safer location.
I like a safer location.
You can do magic, so can you teleport us somewhere or fly us away?
That kind of thing is more my style, to be fair. I can bring one person a great distance a limited number of times a day. I don't have the ability to I didn't study what I have. To make sense, I didn't study what I have. I don't have that kind of grand knowledge.
There's more of us.
A sorcerer, okay. There's more of you.
Sure.
So you guys are a group then?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Are we moving further up for this safer location, Helia?
If we go up just a bit further, we're in a sewer building at the moment, but we could just head across the street. There's a shop that's kind of bombed out over there, I think, and we could go there or anywhere, but just not here.
If you can
there were more
hold for just
ahead.
a moment, I'll go collect our companions and we can move on.
Just a moment, though. We need to be moving.
I'd already gone.
Okay. Running.
She does that.
Now.
She's fast. She'll be back in a sec. There were people that went up the stairs ahead of us. Am I wrong, Morwen? Didn't you?
No, there were the people holding me, but they are conscripts of Kindscale, not soldiers by any means. No, they're citizens that have been forced into working for Kindscale.
Okay.
They control a lot of people up here through dreams, through rationing of food and water. Forced soldiers, perhaps.
Sure.
Best.
So a big wall of fire would be enough to tell them to kind of fuck off. Is what I'm getting.
She turns and kind of looks by you at this charred corpse on the ground. And she points and just says, yeah, like, so for instance, I believe he was maybe like a cobbler or something. If you kind of look at and you can see like there are like elements of maybe some kind of tools that are melted to the skin.
Mhm.
Good job, guys.
Unfortunately, that wasn't
Sad.
my target. I have to practice that one. It's kind of new for me, and I
Yeah.
feel really awful about it.
They're
So
from above. They're all kind of the same bunch of dicks, really. But don't
I
worry too much about it.
can't pass judgment until I've met him, and unfortunately, I'll never meet that one. But knowing that, I might be a little more hesitant to do what I just did.
All right. Well, also while we're waiting for Shay, granted it won't take long. I'm gonna start shopping. What's around?
Are you looting the bodies, the 3 bodies that are kind of, or the 5
No,
bodies that are scattered throughout, or are you looking through, like, what are you looking for?
I don't know. I'm just curious. I'm looking to see what's where I can
Make
get
an
my
invest
furry
make an
little
investigation
hands
check.
on.
Make an investigation check, sure.
I like the image of this where Morwin is like talking to her, and then we start talking, and Martin just slinks away, and you just like see her in the background in like various positions, like looking.
Yeah, like
straight.
out of focus in the camera, just like pulling things
Yeah.
apart. 100%.
15.
15. Okay. So moving throughout the room in this little bit of time, it doesn't take Shay a terrible long time to go down, but you can find, let's see, where am I here? Pull up the correct room. So you can find a few things. Within a lot of these crates, you kind of pry one of them open. These seem to be primarily food stuff, some clothing. There's a crate that's entirely blankets. There is a full keg of some kind of ale. You find towards that barricade that's under construction, although parts of the wood are kind of charred now, and the whole place smells of kind of like burnt stone and wood. But there are, a couple of carpentry tools. There's some nails. More interestingly, as you kind of pick through, and you're given your nature, you do look at these bodies, and they do have pockets, and you do. I would imagine. Are you gonna look through them? Yeah. You're gonna look through them. On the body that was kind of crumpled and that was identified as a little bit of a cobbler, you find this little scrap of leather, no bigger than a keychain. And as you unfold it, this little lock of black hair just kind of falls to the ground.
Oh, it's his love.
And as you kind of go through, you find in another's pocket almost like a handful of bird seed. And in the
I
third,
take it. Product might like that.
We killed a bunch of simple folk.
You can add a handful of bird seed to your inventory if you want. And then finally, in the final body that you reach into, this one being a fairly young-looking man previously, there's a filthy handkerchief. And it's worth noting, all these things that you find kind of hidden away. You find the leather scrap kind of tucked into like the belt of somebody, so that it's hidden. The bird seed itself is like kind of in the actual seam of the pocket. And this dirty handkerchief you actually find like sewed into the back of one of their shirts. And in it, as you unwrap this handkerchief, there is a gold engagement ring with a small diamond on it. A little dirty, a little bit bent, and a little bit misshapen, but there's an engagement ring. And as you're beginning to go through these things, you're realizing these are, a bunch of like townspeople, right, who probably had most of their belongings taken from them. And so the few things that you're finding are the very important personal items that they have taken great care to keep hidden. But you don't find any money. Yeah, you don't find any money. You don't find any of that balm that was given. You don't find any of the balm that was given to the soldiers. So these are very much like force conscripted people. But yeah, that's what you find.
Well, I leave the lock of hair because that's kind of gross, and I've got my own.
Okay.
And yeah, I take the
fur,
bird,
technically.
the bird seed, and the engagement ring.
Okay, no problem. You take the engagement.
Feel a shred of shame.
Hell yeah! Do you mean this gold ring?
And she turns and looks and kind of squints. No, that's a wee bit smaller than the one that I'm thinking of. I'm talking about the gold ring of Kol Taram. But if Doldrum didn't send you all, we need to have a longer discussion about whether or not you're qualified to be involved in such a high-level heist. Or shopping trip, maybe we can call it.
Ooh.
And Morwen, you recognize that as the beginning of a segue into kind of a thieves' cant. We're going to get back to that in a second. Shay, you dart down and you see Krodek, his hand outstretched against Gunter's naked chest. Gunter is naked. You pass the sort of like pitted and corroded armor on the ground as you pass through, and it's just kind of this, the diapered Gunter being held kind of by this Croddock who his expression's always kind of neutral, but you can read like discomfort on him for sure. You see the Dragonborn now awake and still bound beyond.
I'm not even gonna ask. I can put together what this is.
Sure.
We're done upstairs. We need to move.
Croddock turns to you, Gunter. Gunter, you see, if you wait, all things will come to the point at which they are supposed to. Sky Sister, and he turns to you, Shay.
Yes.
Would you concede to Gunter being able to take the armor that will not fit him from the Dragonborn?
You're going to attempt to wear armor that doesn't fit you.
I know how to fix it! But you guys all... I'm pointing to Chronic, I'm like, you need her permission to do anything, apparently.
How much time do you need to
And
fix
you think you need to control everything. I just want to take his armor. He's sitting there, mocking us.
And kind of looks at you again, Gunter, and says, Gunter, there is no such thing as control. It is an illusion. We merely try to steer ourselves down the path that we are meant.
Tell that to Shay.
Shay, Gunter would like me to tell you that we simply cocks his head, kind of confused as to why you're so upset after he did exactly what you told him to do.
Oh my gosh. I'm surrounded by idiots.
I have one simple question for you, Gunter. How much time would it take for you to adjust it?
How much time using my smith's tools would it take for me to adjust this armor?
It's a forge, and assuming that it's not magical, I would say a couple days.
How about if I use... Nope, I don't think I have access to heat metal. Never mind.
With heat metal, I'd say you could shave a solid hour off that time. Easy.
Okay. Well...
So, let
Still
me
with the forge.
ask you this. In this dangerous situation that we now find ourselves in a city that is being held hostage from the inside, do you find it in your best interest to take up a few days attempting to refit this armor to yourself, or perhaps should we find another alternative?
Oh no, I was... I thought we were leaving because someone said to get back. So I got back, and when I got back, I thought, oh, I'm covered in poisonous acid. Why don't I take that off and get this nice shiny new armor that's on the ground? I don't have to put it on now. I'll put it on when we get to a place that's safe.
Apparently,
I'm not an
there's
idiot.
more to this than we were informed.
Well,
And
how
this
am I
location is not safe.
supposed to?
So,
What?
You locked
the
up.
whole rant was gone.
I rented something fierce.
Oh man, we're gonna have to buy you some better internet. Donate some bits now to get Matt better internet service. So what I will say is, with this, Croddock does turn and he says, Gunter, if we can move away, perhaps we can find you something better than that to wear.
Yeah.
It's a city of dwarves.
There's a whole city above us. There could be a bunch of things up there.
So why are we keeping this guy alive then? What makes him so special? He's the biggest asshole of the bunch.
Gunter, I'm going
From
to tell
behind
Tarek-
Gunter, all of you now kind of hear the Dragonborn, who's been awake for this whole time, just speak up and say, I haven't done anything to warrant that. But as I said before,
Quiet, you.
Dwarf, you can have the armor. Just let me go.
And I said, I'll let you go after I behead you and take the armor. again, I don't see.
Gunter, a
Bunch
lot of
of
these
numbskulls.
people have been pressured into it against their will. It's
This
very-
one's the one that the Gobbins was saying he's real nutso.
Gunter, I'm going to tell
Gobbins
Croddock to
does
let you go. What you do
The dragon.
is your choice.
We're not paying attention to you, Dragon Ball.
The dragonborn is like trying to get something into it. He just can't.
So you're letting me?
We're walking
Croddock
away.
looks at you.
All right. Go.
Croddock lets go of you. His
Yeah.
hands are still up.
We're leaving.
See, I that's fine. I want to leave too, but
Okay.
Mm.
And I'm turning and walking.
Okay. So you turn and you walk. And I'm gonna say,
What?
Matt, because I can't hear you or understand what you're saying, I there's not a whole lot that you can really do here.
did you want to kill him? Because I know you killed all of his friends. Because we can't just leave him here, right? So
I'm
What you
already
missed
walking away.
is that they're walking away.
okay, well I guess it's up to me then. I'm gonna turn back to the Dragonborn.
Croddock is still in between you and the Dragonborn.
Oh, I thought
I
they
thought
were
Croddock was
walking
leaving.
away.
Shay walked away. Croddock is
Oh.
standing right there.
I mean, like, all right, are you gonna do it, Craddock?
Gunter, we need to go.
Yeah, where's Hendrik and Marwin?
I assume that Shay is bringing us to them. So let us follow that path.
We're just gonna leave this guy here tied up.
You can see Croddock thinking for a second. And he looks at you and says, would you be happier if he was less comfortable?
No, I wouldn't, to be quite honest.
Then let's go.
Well, I think this is pretty cruel. Leave him tied up, he's gonna starve to death down here. Probably.
Croddock is not turning, and you get the sense that he has a pretty good idea as to what you're trying to do right now. He's not falling for it. He doesn't need an insight check for it.
What does he even think I'm trying to do? I don't...
He's waiting for you to move. He's not gonna go first.
Yeah, we're just gonna leave him there.
Yes.
He's gonna, if he doesn't die, he's gonna come back for us.
He turns and looks at this downed dragonborn. Will you come after us? And you can see the dragonborn look up and just say, yes. Just very honestly.
Yeah. So,
And Croddock turns to you, Gunter, and he says, are you afraid of him?
I'm not afraid of him. I just don't like to leave unfinished business.
If you are afraid of him, I will leave you here to do what you must. But I do not fear anybody coming after me. I can watch my own back. And he turns and follows Shay.
Well, whatever you said, I'm sure it was very nice, but some of us don't have the luxury.
He's walking away.
All right. I'm going to turn to the Dragonborn now. So it's just me and you, huh? Oh, and the guy over there, who's also knocked out.
And you can see he smiles. I am never alone.
Oh, yeah? Well, you got some imaginary friends or something?
Or something.
Ah, it's the something. All right. Oh, mysterious guy. Okay. Let's make this easy, okay? You give me all your stuff. I let you go. If I ever see your face again, I kill you. Or you disagree with me now. You put up some sort of fight or struggle. I chop your head off before I untie you and take your stuff anyway. Those are your options.
He looks at you and regards you with the one eye that you can see. Those are not options. You from what you've done, have friends as well. They won't leave you alone.
All right, but that has nothing to do with you and your situation. So what'll it be there, boss?
Doesn't say anything.
All right. Making me do this. I'm gonna go on it honorable like.
So what are you doing?
I'm gonna put his head on the chopping block.
Okay, so you lug him up. There is no chopping block, but you lug him
Is there,
up
like,
by
a
the
rock?
chains.
There's
You
probably
bring
like
him
a
over.
rock
You bring him
somewhere.
over to a crate and kind of put his head against it. His head now pressed against the wood.
All right. Haven't done one of these in a while. Let me see.
Can there be Oathbreaker clerics?
I'm gonna say some rites.
Oh no.
Freezing up.
Oh,
Okay.
Beep up.
Oh, no. Damn it,
So-
Gunter.
No, it's
Give him
killing
his
me.
arm.
It's killing me.
Oh, this is painful.
I know, it really is.
Choose it.
No.
I'm gonna have to nip it in the bud.
Okay.
All right, so Gunter,
We assume that was
you're
very
back
good
now.
last
little
choice.
bits that I got. Oh my god.
Yeah. So what are you doing, Gunter?
Well, I figure, if he's gonna be trying to get revenge on us, chasing us all over the place, we've already got enough people chasing us. I'm gonna nip this one in the bud. Do us a favor.
Okay, so what are you doing?
I'm gonna give him, some sort of prayer. Yeah.
Sure.
You fought a noble battle and you lost, and you now take a noble warrior's death. Nothing personal, but you were. Yeah, you kind of made it hard for me not to do this. So, there we go.
Honorable.
All right. I haven't done this one in a while. I hope I don't miss.
God.
And whack.
Okay.
Oh.
Make your attack roll. Make it at an advantage.
Oh my god. I'm so glad none of us are here to see this.
Non-lethal.
Non-lethal beheading.
Non-lethal beheading.
Non-lethal.
You can have him with a
That's-
trauma jar.
That's
Yeah.
an 18.
18 to hit?
Yes.
Yeah, that hits. Go ahead and roll damage on that.
How far through the bone do you get? Fuck, Jesus.
Oh well, I was using two hands for it, so that's a D10 instead. So it's a little better.
Yeah.
Can probably take a couple. Ooh, that's a 10 though. Hey, 10 plus what? 5? That sounds right. Yeah, 5.
10 plus 5?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and make a dexterity saving throw for me.
Oh jeez. Ooh, that's a 16.
Okay, not bad. Still fails, but not bad.
Bah.
As you cleave in, you said that was 15?
Yes.
Okay. You take 15 points of that's slashing damage, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, you take 15 points of slashing damage halved, so you're taking 7, and you are also taking 25 points of radiant damage as you cleave down with this
wait.
axe.
I also forgot to roll the extra radiant damage. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
It's just adding more to yourself.
I know. It's 2 plus
Okay,
1d8.
So add another damage on there. But as you bring this axe around and swing, it should cleave into the head, but it hits the scales and seems to stop. And for a moment, time freezes, and you're very aware of the fact everything around you seems black. You see this dragonborn starkly tied up in front of you, and behind it, you can see not blackness, but the silhouette of a massive shape. One huge head, impossibly large, and then another and another, and you feel alone in this space. And the dragonborn turns his head and looks at you, and you now with this massive wash of energy kind of rippling through you, and you can hear him say, "My God does not abandon me. And you see now the head turning in a weird way, and you realize it's because he's standing up.
Ah, jeez.
But your god will abandon you. Make a Constitution saving throw.
Ah, god.
Jeez.
Come on. Ah, that's a 5.
It's a 5. Gunter, all of a sudden your eyelids get incredibly heavy.
Ah!
You see just the last little bit as he steps looming over you, this 3-headed dragon just kind of stretching into almost infinity behind you. And then things go dark. And your eyes open and kind of flicker.
Ah!
You are alone in the space. There is no bound human. Roughly 2 minutes passes in that time. So in that time, Krodok reaches up to the top. Shay, you reach up to the top. Everybody kind of creates a convocation, minus Gunter, upstairs. What do you guys want to do?
Damn it. God damn it!
So
I'm gonna
I see
storming
them
off.
approaching. Where is Gunter?
Yeah, where's Gunter?
Gunter
You go.
Gunter is making a decision and will join us on a different path shortly.
I don't. You left him alone with those people?
Krodok, not having any idea what was going on, says, Heinrich, there are many paths in this world. Each of us must find our own way, though we can help. Are you sure that
And I'm just gonna
Was his choice.
I'm just gonna lean on the table and be like, all right,
I'm sure that
then
he
we'll
made a
wait
good
for
choice. He nods. Gunter, are you going back towards them?
Yeah, I'm storming my way up. I'm like, God damn it! God damn it! I do it! God damn it!
And as you storm up and you look, your cloak and your bandages and that kind of corroded, pitted armor, gone.
God damn it! God damn it! God damn it! Fuck!
Oh my god, Gunter's lost his hair and his clothes. Oh my god, poor little naked Gunter.
So, Gunter, what are you doing?
I'm storming upstairs.
So as you guys are talking and you say, okay, we'll wait for Gunter, you hear suddenly just faintly these bits of Gunter expletives, and then they grow louder and louder, and suddenly,
I told you!
hairless,
I knew
beardless,
it!
and clothless, this almost
God.
naked, diapered Gunter staggers up to the top of the stairs. Worth noting, it seems as if there is almost this flash burn around his neck.
Yeah, are his tattoos visible now because he's not wearing anything?
So very interestingly, you can see the tattoos still kind of the lightning bolts stretch out almost a little bit further than you last saw them, but unlike previously, they don't seem to have that glow, that blue, the intense, almost divine aura that seemed to radiate off in times where Gunter has used his magic before.
Where have you been? What have you done, and why are you naked?
I didn't do anything. I was that dragonborn down there. Like I said, he's gonna come after us. He took my stuff. Maybe see all these weird visions.
Do you untied him?
No,
Krodok
I didn't.
Krodok
how did he
turns
get
to you,
away?
Heinrich, and he just says, I told you, Gunter would make a good decision.
I didn't
But
untie him.
give him his stuff and let him go so he could hunt us. All right, great.
I'm going
These
to
two
start
fools,
looking around
we're
at
gonna
the
leave
dead
him there.
bodies to see if I can find clothes that fit Gunter while he's mad.
Without too much trouble, based on the bodies that you killed, one of them is a
I
dwarf.
I found a crate of clothes, didn't I?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty. It's cloth clothes that then get layered up to form cloth armor. They're very canvassy, kind of industrial feel, but yeah, they would fit Gunter.
All right, I'm gonna grab a few so he has options.
Okay. They all look almost identical, as if these are really low priced and probably made by people in similar conditions to these soldiers.
I want him. I want him to feel like he has the option.
Fair enough. You bring over these options to Gunter.
And I'll also approach him and be like, "What happened to your neck?"
What?
I'll touch it and use a little bit of the radiant celestial. No, wait, radiant soul. Yeah. Wait.
Do I
Healing
heal?
light. Healing light. That's what it is.
How much are you healing him for?
My remaining 6 d6s.
Hey,
Oh,
I'm back
nice.
Oh, wait,
at half
fi-
health.
Yeah, is that +1?
Oh, 6d6.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
I thought it was just
Dice +1.
6.
Yeah, equal to.
Wh-
Oh wait,
That's
I can
That's
spend only 5 of them. Sorry,
Okay.
at
that's
a time.
okay. That's still pretty good. That's not bad.
I mean, it could be 5.
Well,
So
it
it
wasn't
could be
starting
bad.
out great, but it got better.
It gets better.
It gets better.
15.
So Heinrich reaches out, and as he lays a hand upon your where you know your tattoo to be, although you cannot see it from your perspective, you
scar.
feel a little bit more of the energy kind of return to you,
Oh,
and some of the burns kind of heal up. And Gunter, this little tiny hair kind of boop out of your eyebrow.
Oh, look at that, Gunter!
Hey.
It'll come back.
He's just
Hey,
sprouting
that's
like a garden.
He's like an
It's
old
like a
onion.
16th of an inch long. It's like real
Old
tiny.
onion.
But specifically, what do I notice about this like burn mark on his neck? Or you
What are you
said there's
trying
like
to
a
discern
like
about
a
it?
well, like where did it come from? Was it like? It seems odd that it's still there after I'm healing him. It's kind of like what?
They're
Make
always
a Arcana or Religion check, your choice. Either they'll pull you different things.
Right, different rolls. I think I'll just do Arcana because my thoughts are he got attacked by the Dragonborn, and I want to know what this dude's capable of.
Sure.
And that's a 14.
It's difficult to tell. As you said, you've not studied magic necessarily. You've read a little bit about it, but there are elements of this that kind of remind you a little bit of the way in which your infernal wrath works. There is a similarity in terms of the way in which it kind of seems to be a redirection of energy.
Okay. I'll be mumbling that to myself audibly so Gunter can hear like, that's weird. It's like something bounced off and hit you.
huh? No, he blinded me, and then had some. Do I know what I saw at the dragon?
Make a religion check.
Oh no! All the memories come flooding back.
Well,
That's a 10.
when Joe described it as a different dragon.
Thinking about it, it doesn't really ring any bells. I mean, you saw a dragonborn, and dragons apparently ancestors of dragonborn. Maybe you kind of think about it a little bit, and you learned that some time ago, 100 years ago, maybe more. But you don't really recognize the figure that you saw beyond the dragonborn.
And be like, maybe see some 3-headed dragon. Said some
this guy?
mumbo jumbo.
And as Morwen pulls out from the armor that she had tucked in this gold medallion, there's a 3-headed dragon very similar.
That might be it. Yeah,
It's my blade.
that guy. Oh yeah. Well, your bling showed up in this guy's hocus pocus.
Yeah, I took it from him. That makes sense.
And then I woke up and he took my stuff.
And then you were
He
naked?
left. He took my stuff. Of course, I was naked.
To be fair,
Well, if he didn't-
he was naked by the
Rain.
time I got down there, so.
Well, if I had been able to take his armor when you wouldn't let me, then I wouldn't be wearing nothing.
At this
I
point,
see
I'm just
what's
gonna
happening.
start dressing him.
so Gunter, all of a sudden these kind of stiff canvas things get kind of dragged over. It's almost like a potato sack with wider kind of armholes. And at this point, Helia, now having just been observing this, looks at you, Gunter, stifles a smile, not very well, and then just says, "So this is all very interesting, but we do need to be moving along. So would you and your naked friend maybe be inclined to begin heading up?"
Of
Who the
course.
hell are you?
Oh, that's
I'm Helia
Helia.
Coldrot. Nice to
We
meet
got
you.
her.
Oh, then let's get out of here.
Well said, Hildorf. Let's go.
Alright.
And she begins leading the way off. And
That's-
because it is 10:30, that is where we're going to take our break. So it is 10:30. We are going to come back, let's say 10:40, 10 minutes, quick break. If you need to use the bathroom, use the bathroom. If you need to grab some food, grab some food. We'll see you in 10.
Or both. But not at the same time.
welcome back to Adventures in Alberon. Thank you for sticking with us through the break. A couple of things real quick just at the break. Again, if you have questions to us, you can send it to us at cast@alberonrpg.com. And then if you know anybody who does animation, we're looking to make an intro. So definitely send them our way. But aside from that, when we left off, your group gathered together in the top level, it would seem, of the Pillar of Stairs. Gunter, very much naked and hairless, save the single hair that grew back just a little bit on your brow. Your tattoo now dull, or the mark on your back now dull. What are you guys doing?
Following.
I'm following.
Do you accept my clothing?
I don't.
Gunter,
Are we
you should cover
going-
yourself with something.
Yeah.
Do you accept these clothes?
It'll help you at least fit in more too.
What about
So
this
Gunter,
one?
you. It looks almost identical.
I have one more.
This one, though, pretty much the same.
Hmm? Hmm?
Let me see the first one again.
Hmm.
Gunter, make a perception check. This is D&D. This is peak D&D.
This is like the
6.
prime.
6. The second one looks the
Number
best out of the
one.
3.
Hmm?
I'll take that one.
Very fine choice, sir. Very fine.
Yeah.
And you slide it on, and it's like a rough canvas material. It's uncomfortable against your old and wrinkly skin, but it fits. Sort
What
of.
is my AC without any armor and now this canvas sack on?
10.
Okay, cool.
Just remember that it's 10. It's unfortunate.
I do not feel like we should be going up. Our job was to get her and bring her back down.
Sidebar.
At this, Haley is.
Yeah. I feel like I'd just talk to Helia and be like, so how far across the street?
So,
like busy talk to
apparently,
let them do this.
she was sent here to find some golden ring of Colteron or something like that, or some gold. I don't know, some gold ring, and like, I don't know. I'm kind of interested.
Okay.
Imagine if we brought the girl and the ring.
Bring the ring.
Well, of course I'm interested, but I'm wearing a sack right now. I don't think I'm not
No,
battle ready.
The city.
Morin doesn't know that.
That's what I was asking. Is it Morin or do you not know? Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, what did you say? Heinrich was interrupting you.
I'm not battle ready, as you can see. You know,
I agree. Why don't we?
I likely will be killed in this endeavor, but no one seems to ever think about or care about that.
I care.
I appreciate that, but some other members of our group don't seem to very much care one way or another, as evidenced by the fact that they left me with this guy who then went and attacked me, even though he had just said that he was gonna keep going after us. And they were like, "Oh, okay, I guess we'll just leave then." But no, it's Gunter's fault.
And so at this point in the conversation that you guys are having, Helia is saying, so yeah, we could either go to the tunnels, we could try to go through the stew kitchens, but either way, excuse me, you two. And she sort of like is trying to get Morwen and Gunter's attention. We really do need to be moving along.
Yeah, I know, I'm naked. I got it.
Can we find someplace relatively
Let's go
safe to
somewhere safe and collect.
discuss our next move?
I point at Shay. I'm like, yes, that.
I
All of
point
us
at
go
Heinrich.
somewhere, wherever
Sure.
it is, close by, just safe, and let's go somewhere.
Fantastic idea. All right, follow me. We can finish our conversation when we get there. And she turns and begins to walk up the left staircase. You guys all following?
Yes.
Okay.
Might as
What
well.
is your
Wait,
mark?
wait a second. No one's done this yet. Insight. I want to know if she's leading us into a trap.
Make an insight check.
Thank you. Fuck. Holy shit. I can't believe no one's done this yet.
Yeah, me neither. That's usually how I feel.
Yeah. That's 21.
21? Okay.
Yeah.
With the 21, you get the sense that she's not telling you everything. She is trying to get out of here. You sense the urgency is genuine. There are probably other people coming. You can't imagine that there isn't going to be some kind of fallout from this.
Of course.
You did catch this weird feeling when she had talked to Morwen previously. You being sort of a specialist about, you know, languages very well. There's something that have interested you your whole life, and now with your newfound Eldritch Invocation that allows you to read any language, you've paid very close attention to it. There was almost a different language being spoken,
Yeah,
but
and I've
unclear as to what it was. And yeah, and so there is this kind of that you feel as if this is not a trustworthy individual per se, but what they are saying now, probably true.
Right. I'd be like, I mean, I'll just nudge Shay as we're walking off and be like, all right, let's keep an eye on her, though. She is part of the Cold Rods.
Naturally.
So she leads you guys up the stairs. The stairs go up and then come to sort of like a 10-foot long, almost a like a landing, and then they go up again. And as you guys go up that second flight of stairs, you emerge into a room no longer than 15 feet, no wider than 10, very small. There's an iron door that you can see just a little bit ajar, probably what had slammed and then swung slightly open. Beyond, you can smell smoke. The air is a little bit colder, and you can hear it kind of go by the doorway. It is fairly quiet on the street outside. But it seems as if you have arrived within the first ring of Kol Tiram, the Ring of Iron. And Helia gets to the door, and you can see just furtively kind of open it and peek both directions. The coast is clear for now. We're going to run across the street. There is a broken window. I recommend you all follow me through it. Everybody clear?
What are we doing?
Fantastic.
Sure.
And she bolts across the door, or through the door, and then across the street. And you can see from your vantage point with the door now wide open and her going, there's this, it looks like almost like a bombed out, maybe a shop at some point, sandwiched between. And now looking through the door, you can see the Ring of Iron a little bit more. And you can see that there are buildings that kind of spread out. This is a very vertical sort of city. You can see there are buildings in front of you, but then beyond that, hundreds, thousands of feet away, there are like shelves of different buildings, each probably an entire neighborhood. You can see they rise up and up and up. There's a central huge column that goes through the middle and seems to disappear into the ceiling, which is somewhere bathed in darkness above. You can see it's shaped almost like a top. So it goes like this with buildings rising up on different tiers. But she goes to the very first building across the street. The street itself, cobblestone almost, but littered with broken wood and bent nails and different bits of debris. The building to the left of the one that she is in is completely annihilated. There's a crater, elements of kind of broken stone from the remaining structure, but that thing has been wiped out. But she runs, and you can see she hops, planting one hand on the edge of a windowsill, and then like leveraging her body over, and she disappears into that building. What are you guys doing?
Why are we following her? We're supposed to take her back.
It's somewhere safe, immediately close, let's go. And I just run across the street trying to like mimic the motion that she did to get in.
Okay, so yeah, you run across the street. Make an athletics check just for it'll be acrobatics just for fun.
Good, that's better. 'Cause that's what it's what I prefer.
Yeah.
That's about as well as I expected. 11.
Okay. You guys watch as Heinrich scurries over. The scales all shaking with every step. And you go to like plant your arm, and your palm kind of slips off, and you slam your shin into the wood, but you tumble into the actual shop, not falling, but not at all gracefully.
Yeah.
And you kind of like pinwheeling your arms to slow your momentum, emerge into what looks like at some point, maybe like a bookstore. There are these like bookshelves and what look like almost like iron racks, although some of them have been twisted from intense heat. There are what look like not windows, but almost like vertical arrow slits with these iron shutters that draw up or down with a handle. There are blackened elements along the back of the wall that indicate a fire at some point. And you do see now, and Helia is kind of examining this a little bit, there is the remains of like an old dwarven man with blackened bones and flakes of charred skin. There's a spearhead that's been just thrust through him. The spearhead is behind, like kind of to the side of him, still wedged into the stone. The shaft seems to have been burned away in the fire.
Taking
what do you
that
guys
in
do?
and turning back around, I like wave from the window.
You guys see disappear and this kind of, and then you just see Heinrich reappear and just wave.
I'm going last, so kind of after you.
I don't like this, but I go.
Okay.
Me neither. Especially because I'm wearing a sack.
Kraddock turns to you, Gunter, and right before he darts out through and across the street, he says, Gunter, it isn't about how you look. Your power
No,
will
it's
keep you
about how.
He's already gone. And just right out. And Heinrich, you see this, it's almost as his wings spread and he moves incredibly quickly. It's like this red hawk takes flight across the street. You don't see his feet touch. And he just in and lands in the space. Morwen comes in just a second later. It's now Gunter and Shay on the other side.
Oh,
After you,
wonderful.
Gunther.
I'm gonna take my time, and I'm like,
It's not about the looks, it's about the fact that I already got stabbed by 5 arrows. I'm gonna take a bunch more and I don't have any armor on.
start making my way over.
And we're following it.
You see Gunter with this like potato sack rigidly moving with this form as he goes over. You can hear like the as it scrapes together, but you make your way over. And Gunter, you have to kind of like climb over the window. It's a little more difficult for you with your height, but you do get in.
This potato sack rides.
Once I
up
see
a bit.
him make his
You guys
way
see
in,
a little bit of Gunter's gluteus maximus, now kind of a gluteus minimus, hanging down a little bit, but yeah, and you
Nothing
make it
we
across.
haven't seen before.
You guys have all seen each other naked. This is canon. So
Not
back
totally true.
back at our tudes.
I don't think you guys. I don't think you or Shay got naked.
No, Heinrich definitely got naked. That is very much canon.
Yeah.
I think Shay is the only one that you guys have not seen unclothed yet. Anyways, not important. You, Shay, you take off. You go.
Yes.
So very quickly, right after Morwen, or right after Gunter, Shay just kind of, you could easily beat him, but you have to wait for Gunter to like clamber over and fall down in, and then you just lightly hop and land. Helia turns her attention away from the burnt dwarf, kind of looks around, and you can see she seems to peer out, look both ways on the street. All right, so if we want to argue now is a great time, but just try to keep it down.
Oh! I have a number of things to say.
Well, and so do I, actually. Point in fact, who are all of you? Doldrum didn't send you. So if, how well do you know the person who did send you?
Not
Grunvar.
very.
We were told to do this under penalty of death if we refused.
That
Yeah.
sounds like my dad, not Grunvar so much, but Grunvar is trying to ingratiate himself with my father because he had a little bit of a slip up within the Dark Hive. So perhaps trying to rescue me to regain his status. It's an interesting tactic. Not terribly interesting to me because I have my own job. I'm not sure if he told you why I'm here.
No, he didn't. And that's why I want to go.
She turns to you, Morwen, and she says, so it's odd seeing a tabaxi this far north. What family are you from? And you recognize it is Thieves' Cant for, basically she's asking, are you part of an organization, some kind of a crime family or syndicate? She's basically saying in Thieves' Cant, where do your allegiances lie?
How much do I pick up on?
Do you speak Thieves' Cant?
I
Currently?
don't currently know.
But you did, yeah.
But I
Go
did.
ahead and make an intelligence check.
That's a 20, dirty 20.
I mean, you pick up all of it. There's this moment where your mind, as it does ever so often, crystallizes, and you get this like deep pull to a time where you were called Tall Graham, and you spoke a little Thieves' Cant. And this comes right through to you very clearly. It's asking if Mormon has any allegiances.
We're her
currently-
family.
She turns and kind of regards you.
However, I do have a family back in Dungannon.
Well, so you're from Dungannon.
Yes, one could say that.
I don't suppose you're maybe associated with a couple of brothers.
I'm trying to think of a clever way of. Yes, I am.
She recoils a little bit from the sudden explosive.
I cleverly
outburst.
say, "Why, yes, I am."
Well, then maybe you and I have a bit more to talk about later. But in the meantime, that means that you might be somebody trustworthy enough to explain the entirety of what I'm trying to do. So, the Cold Rots. We got sent to the Undercity. It was not our desired place to be. Amongst the... And you can see there is this kind of disgust that creeps into her face. The rabble down there. But we were convicted of a crime that we did not commit, or at least shouldn't have been caught committing, by the Gold Glows, a different clan up here. And they have risen quite a ways in our absence. We aim to get some things back, while others are distracted. Some things that are very important, not just to the Gold Glows, but to the Cold Rots and Colteram as a whole.
Go on.
The destination is a place known, let me check my notes because I actually forget what I called it. In the Ring of Gold, the Cold Rots make their home in a place known as... Where did I put it? A place known as the Gold Glow Estate. The people around here call it the Gilded Terrace. It's a palace built near the very top of the Circle of Gold. There are golden vines, statues, the whole thing is gold. There are fruits that grow only there, imported from across the seas. It is a place of great riches. We seek a few things in particular, but there are thousands of gold pieces worth of art, artifacts, and other things that do not interest the Cold Rots, and you are all welcome to them.
Go on.
Make a persuasion check.
25.
She leans into you more when one of her dwarven arms kind of going around your shoulders, and she says, "Tell me something, Tabaxi. Have you ever heard of the Lenjar, the Tempest's Temper?"
Go on.
She smiles and kind of laughs. "It's an axe forged in Gath in the breath of an ancient blue dragon. It is said to spit lightning and put the fury of a storm into the hearts of those around it. Something useful to Doldrum, something useful to us. We're also looking for something known as the Artificer's Heart. We're looking for the Tear Strand, which is this beautiful necklace that I would very much like to wear. And there's other treasures and books and things like that. There's an art collection from Yilfrig of the Mythal Stream. There's I think butterflies that there's a collector of. All kinds of things that may interest an eclectic group like yours."
Well,
on.
I'm sold.
No, I'm just kidding. All right. How do we
what
do the thing?
do you require from us specifically?
Well, originally, this is a little bit more than a one-person job, no matter how capable that person might be. I need help making sure that I can get there safely, and I need help making sure that I can get back to my family in one piece. That is all that I require. Call it protection. I'll tell you what, you don't need to touch a lock, you don't need to touch a door. I will handle all of that myself. All I need for you to do is keep your eyes open and your ears perked up. And she looks at you in particular, Morwen. So?
This wouldn't be the worst way to gain some friends in the city that is at war. This is nothing else that would be a reward in and of itself.
What do we get in return? Whatever we want.
You can take whatever you want as long as it's not the axe or the heart. Everything else is pretty much negotiable.
How would this put us in relationship to your clan, group, organization?
She turns to you and gives you a broad smile. You'd be taking something of very, very much import from the gold glows, and you'd be returning it to the gold rods. It would put you in very good standing. But a suggestion, though. Don't return it to Grunvar. Return it to my father.
Yeah, sounds about right. Not saying that I really had much interactions with this Grunberg, but from what little I did not take a strong liking to him.
He's a bit dishonest, that one.
Yeah, and threatening, us to come do something that apparently isn't even important, because you seem to handle yourself quite well, aside from the unfortunate cage situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, how
There are
did you get
times
caught?
when well, after fighting this mighty beast, we decided it was best to run. A bit one of us in half. So, actually, and she kind of stands up, how did you all get past it?
Oh, the thing that,
You're
Hunter,
welcome.
the thing. You did the thing to the thing,
You popped it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a pimple.
but like made of nothing. It disappeared. He's good
I
at that.
just said, hey, get out of here. I have a way with words. People listen to me.
So you
He's
scared it
very
away.
intimidating.
Well, these people don't listen to me.
Gunter and Mormon, either one of you can make a deception or persuasion check at advantage, or you could each make one of them your choice.
Deception or persuasion?
I mean, I'm pretty good in persuasion.
I'm pretty good in deception and persuasion.
A little bit meta. Who's
You
gonna
wanna-
do that?
Do you want
What do
to?
you
How
guys
about we both roll? You roll for deception.
I'll
and
roll
I'll
deception. You roll.
persuasion.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like a plan. I'm gonna. Oh well,
Gunter's lying and Lauren's trying to be honest. This is very
guidance on
classic.
myself. Or actually, I'm gonna attempt guidance on myself.
Okay, sure. Yeah, don't roll the d4. Nothing happens.
That's 19.
Okay.
27.
So between the two of you, kind of,
Good cop, bad copping her.
it's not good cop, bad cop so much as the what's it called? The implication that Gunter is kind of hinting at, and then what you were saying. But what exactly are you trying to get her to do?
I was just helping out.
I just honestly think that, I said get out of here and the thing listened.
Okay, so that's honestly what Gunter believes.
Gunter thinks that, yeah, he's,
About the creature? We're trying to persuade her what happened
Get
to
out
the
of there.
creature?
Okay,
yeah,
so
unless I
as
get
far-
out of there, it's like,
so with your
yes.
two combined rolls, she
I've
nods,
intimidated it.
she nods very impressed and says, well, that is incredible.
I am pretty intimidating.
We should be on the lookout for it. It will return, I would imagine. I've not seen a feral Kleinhound here before. They're rumored to still exist, but odd that it would be there. Just be mindful of it then. And she does now. I mean, her eyes are kind of going to the window a little bit more now. But after fighting that, we found ourselves out of resources, as it were. And coming up against the bandits, it was a difficult fight. More of them than there were of us.
So they're all dead but you?
The people that were sent with me? Yes.
That's a shame.
Hired muscle.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Well,
So how far away is this?
right.
The
The
Ring of Gold.
axe.
It is. That's going to be a bit of a trek, but it depends on how we go.
What do you suggest?
Well, I don't suppose any of you are familiar with Kol Toram. I have options, but if any of you do, I'm open to them.
0.
I've never been here before.
He turns to you, Gunter. What about you? You're a hill dwarf. I recognize that, but have you ever been here?
Nope. Don't.
Very well.
Don't think so.
No, you haven't. I see. Well, the easiest way to traverse any part of Koltaram is through the central staircase. But that is currently swarming with Kainscale's army. It is the most heavily guarded part of Koltaram. Access to that is essentially the artery that lifeblood flows. Controlling that is how you control Koltaram. Elsewise, we could go through the stew kitchens. You can get to the Ring of Silver and from there make a different ascent. Or we could take the Smuggler's Tunnels. There's a pretty nearby access, and although dangerous and unmapped, would eventually theoretically lead us, I believe, to the Ring of Gold. A little hazy on that. Haven't taken them myself.
So were you traveling with your hired muscle? Which route would you have taken with them?
With them? Personally, I would have chanced the tunnels. Our skill set very much aligned for it, but we don't know much about them.
Are there
Having
any...
seen what we can do, what would you suggest?
She kind of thinks back to the things that she observed you all doing. Well, the stew kitchens are being used to control the populace through hunger, rationing, and things such as that. There will be innocent people there, and you all seem like a friendly enough lot. So perhaps to avoid collateral damage, as it were, taking the tunnels or the central staircase. The staircase will be a fight the entire way, and I can't guarantee that Kainscale herself won't make an appearance. But the tunnels are the kitchen.
What's a kind scale?
I kind of vote.
Don't worry
She's-
about it, Gunther.
The Kainscale is this... have you ever heard of a deep dragon?
I've heard of a dragon.
A deep dragon is unlike the other...
Wait. Let me guess. It's a dragon that is deep underground.
Close enough. It comes from deep
Ah.
underground.
Oh,
They don't breathe fire or thunder or poison. They're able to damage your mind directly using their breath. And
that
beyond
sounds-
even that, she radiates an aura of terror and nightmares that make it near impossible to sleep. She can invade your mind through them.
Nightmares, you say?
Yes, like a dream, but worse, if you're unfamiliar.
No, I
just holding my breath.
I had a bad dream the other day, but
Holding
must
my
be
breath.
unrelated.
Easily could have
Yeah,
been her.
totally. No. Probably wasn't.
But then there was that three-headed dragon with the dragonborn who stole my pants.
I
Not
vote
familiar with
tunnels.
any of these. Tunnels?
Tunnels.
That's my vote.
Out of all the options,
Right.
I would have to agree with
Because
that.
if shit goes wrong, we don't have a whole city potentially coming after
So
us.
just to be
Right.
clear, there is no leader here. This is something of a democracy.
Well, actually, if we're thinking about it, it's more like a dictatorship.
Well, then
With
who?
three dictators
Shay-
against one.
It's well, there's sort of a hierarchy. Typically, it goes Shay, and then if Shay's not there to make a decision, then it's Heinrich. But then sometimes now Croddick is in the mix to be sort of like a right hand to Shay. So I'm still unsure if he surpasses Heinrich in the hierarchy or if they're sort of at the same level. But
You can see
that's-
Croddick at this point goes, "What is a hierarchy?" And you can see also.
Yes, he's still below Heinrich because he's really
But Gunter, I can
he's
fly.
a bit naive. He's a bit naive.
You can see now Croddick
He
turns and looks
whispers
at
and we
you,
all hear
Heinrich.
it.
Yeah, 100%. You guys are in a small space. Actually, if you want, I can send you a picture of the space. Yeah, here we go. So I'll post it first in our general thing, and if one of you guys wouldn't mind posting it into the Twitch chat. But that is the very small. You guys are in that front room, that very very small kind of thing that you are in.
So the explosion of lines is the charred out body
Yeah, there's like a body that's kind of pinned. So it looks like it was at one point pinned into that ground. Now the haft of the spear is burned away and whatever fire was there.
I wouldn't suppose that you would know of any remaining resources you would have access to up here, i.e., something to help protect our friend who is now wearing a bag.
She looks at Gunter. Well, I'm not from up here. Remember, we were banished down to the Undercity. But this is a city of dwarves. We're craftsmen. We make things. Most of the forges are in the Ring of Silver. So if we could get there, I'm sure that there's armor to be had. However, give me one sec. The region of the Ring of Iron that we're in is known as the Cumberdown. Within the Cumberdown, there are a few shops and things of that nature, but it is mostly a poor miner's town. We could look. We could scavenge. Or we could try to ambush somebody and take theirs. There are patrols that wander these streets.
Most of them seem to have just been wearing cloth. Hold on.
The people who we fought are conscripts, not soldiers per se. But Kindscale is putting together an army, and they are probably better equipped.
Excuse me.
Well,
Excuse?
Gunter, it's your armor. How do you want to get it?
I want to pull out. Okay, and this is from pre-stream era. The studded leather armor that I took off of one of the members of the Midnight Assembly, I think it was called.
Okay. So Gunter, from the Midnight Assembly is Twee Lightfoot's cult.
Right.
Okay.
And I'm also pulling out the Hibsidium's haste armor, the leather armor, just to see if either of them fit him.
So almost like a mimicked like what Morwen was doing, but actual choices. Heinrich holds out first this studded leather. It is dyed black. And in areas kind of faded to more of a mottled gray. But you can see that on the breast there is this still unremoved a pin that is a skull with a cog that has been inserted into the top of the head. There is a small hole near the torso and like dark stain of blood, probably from a spear of some kind.
I didn't mention that, but good memory, Joe. I actually have it noted down here.
I have a pretty decent memory for D&D stuff. Everything else, I can't
it.
remember like phone numbers or like basic edition. But this,
but like literally over a year ago, a set of armor that you described.
The other set is a Hibsidium's haste set. It is black, and this is much more even. The black itself has almost like an acrylic look to it. It isn't matte. You can see that this has that it's threaded in, but a silver profile, the unicorn's head with the horn kind of going up and towards the left shoulder. That looks like it would be a little too big for you. However, the Midnight Assembly armor with a little tinkering would probably fit.
I guess it's better than nothing.
That's what I'm saying. It's something. If we're not
always
going
swap
back
it out
down
later.
because
Hold on, I'm gonna.
Something better.
Is it thaumaturgy? No, it's prestidigitation is to remove filth.
Yep.
Yes.
Dang. I was gonna try to
you could yell at it earlier.
clean some of the
Here at the
blood
very-
off. Yeah, I guess I'll just yell at the blood for a bit.
Okay, so Gunter
No,
starts
don't
yelling.
actually.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm gonna like, I guess this. Try to rub some of the blood. It's probably dry it at this point. Try to like scrape
So-
it off.
Gunter, with your hands, you kind of rub at it, and there are bits of it that flake away, but some of it is set in. I mean, it's been here now. So today, technically, is the 30th of Deep Winter. You killed this individual 3 months and 14 days ago. So that blood has been sitting on there for some time.
Yeah, you could just scrape it off. It's dry.
Sure. You can scrape more.
Oh, I've got something that'll help. Here. And I open up a bottle of wine and I pour a little bit on it and I say, look, now it's a wine stain.
You just
So-
wasted good wine.
The smell of
That was
wine
hot.
permeates the air in the small space now, and there are like little drips of this crimson liquid now pooling a little bit on the tile, or on the stone.
Great. Now
I
it's
take
wet.
a twig.
Just put it on him.
It's good.
I'm
Which one-
donning
which one
the
is-
armor.
Huh?
If you could tell me which one it is, I could give you more details about it. But you have a lot of wine on you at the moment.
I do. I do indeed. I don't know which off the top of my head.
Okay, no worries. It tastes good. But I can't. I don't really know exactly how it tastes, but it tastes good.
Oh, Fey wine.
Most. That's the okay. Okay,
That's the one that I have open.
that's
so.
important. As you pour this, you can see Helia. This for just a second, there is a pained look across her face, and you can see her hand just a little bit. She doesn't say anything, but you can see that physically pains her to see that liquid dropped on the ground and then poured onto Gunter. Gunter, go ahead and roll two. Actually, no, I would say more one. Go ahead and roll roll a d100.
So it's these two. Your 10 and your percentile.
$28.
As this beautiful, it is not a crimson liquid. This is almost like it shimmers in the way that a health potion does, with that same kind of glimmer of internal arcane light. And as it filters through, the dried blood flakes off, and the stain itself is lifted and like pulled down. And the blood actually almost uncongeals and seems to become smooth again and almost still tacky, but a little bit more liquid-like. And the armor, while now kind of wine smelly, is clean.
I helped.
That's
Hey.
really expensive wine.
Oh, it's not bad actually. Pretty good job.
Here you go. I only have like a sixth of a bottle left, so I take a swig and I give the rest to Gunter if he wants.
Ah, I could use a drink about now.
And you can see she's like now it's like hurting her to watch this. I mean, this is yeah.
Yeah, it's like priceless and
Do you
impossible
want
to get
some?
on this plane of existence.
It's all gone. Nope, all gone. Sorry.
I've got another bottle.
Oh, pop that open. Let's
No,
go.
no. That's very valuable. You should probably hold on to that. That's a
That's
collector's
really-
item.
Oh, but it collects
is?
really well in my tummy.
That's like 150 gold's worth of wine, probably, give or take, depending on the market. So just, maybe a special
Yeah.
occasion or something.
Well, here's a bottle as a souvenir.
Don't-
I give her the empty one.
Ah. Oh.
Okay, she takes the bottle and thank you. I can't really carry this through, a city in a war zone, but I'll leave it
I'll
here.
carry it
and if
for
we
you.
come back-
No. I'll carry it for you.
Ah.
I'm just like, can I carry it for you?
Yeah, if you would like. And she hands
Yeah.
you the bottle.
And I just like,
Okay. And it
didn't drink
disappears
it.
into the bag.
Okay.
Yeah. So now I have a bottle of Fey wine.
An empty bottle.
So,
No.
It's the empty bottle.
it is
I
an
didn't
empty
give her
bottle.
the-
Yeah.
Oh,
She gave her, like,
so
the
the empty
hell?
bottle. The empty
Yeah.
bottle was worth that much?
The empty
No,
bottle.
The empty bottle's an empty bottle. It's just an
Empty
empty
bottle.
bottle.
Oh, okay.
I
Whatever.
gave
Yeah.
it to her as a souvenir.
I
Lauren
misunderstood.
gave her trash as a souvenir, or recycling.
Perfect.
Technically.
And now I
Um,
have it for a distraction to throw
I'm
at
green.
an enemy or something.
Perfect. Yeah. So,
Or you can hand it to me.
You
It
guys
can be a
now-
weapon.
also true.
Hmm?
So now, Dwarf, and I imagine that you guys haven't introduced yourselves for a reason, so that's fine. We can just leave it anonymous. I'll give you names as we go along. But Dwarf, what do you feel comfortable now? Do you feel
I mean, no, I don't feel comfortable, but at least I'm not gonna die right away when I get shot by another pound of arrows.
And you can still see like Gunter's arm, like it's a little too big for him, so you can see like his armpits. He looks like he's like probably like a 13-year-old wearing his dad's clothes, and his dad's not like a big guy.
Do I also
enough that
still
you
have
can't
arrows sticking out of me?
No, I would say as part of like Heinrich's thing, and I would imagine that you took them out. I'm not imagining
Yeah.
that you're like, yeah, I'll save these for later. Like,
Probably when I took off my armor in the beginning.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah,
keep
naked.
arrows in, it promotes social distancing.
It's true.
Nice.
I mean, I
Tips
guess.
by Allie.
Yeah, because people are gonna be like, "The fuck's wrong with you?" and just like stay away from you.
So, what's the plan then? I mean, we could stay here for a bit. It is getting late, but entirely
I
up
think
to you.
At
I'm
least a
feeling
short-
pretty beat. I don't know about you, but I've been through a bit today.
And some things have been through you, it seems.
Alright,
Oh.
so
Well,
Good one.
Well, I helped out a little bit there, guy. Come on.
Short rest?
If we rest a bit, I could even help you more.
I'm tired. I'm grumpy. I'm tired. I know. But
We are drawing close to midnight, so it might be good just to take a wee rest. I could use it myself, and then push on towards wherever you guys would like to go, towards the Ring of Gold tomorrow. But we could take off tonight. It's entirely up to you.
How safe is this place right here that we're sitting in?
Probably not terribly in its present state, but maybe we could patch up some of the holes or do something, or, and she gestures to the door, maybe check and see if there's a place we could hide in the back.
Yeah, a little further away from across the street from the scene of a crime.
Oh, that reminds me. I'm going to scurry across the street to the scene of the crime and get the GameCube back.
Yes.
Okay, so Gunter scurries across, and you can see the armor kind of like hitting him in the back because it's a little bit too loose still, and so it's kind of like a dun, 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 as he goes. But Gunter, you go back over and you touch the cube, and saying "damn," it just into a little cube, and you hold it, and
No,
Yeah,
what a
scurry
bummer
back.
if you lost that.
scurry
Scurry
back across.
over.
And Gunter now just comes running over.
And then I throw it out and I go, "Gab!"
Where are you throwing it?
In the room.
What?
I will
No.
throw it.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no, it's
There's
too.
no fucking room.
It's 10 by
That's
10.
Kill
not
us
true.
all.
You'll kill us
If I
all.
send-
Kill us all.
If I center it perfectly, it'll take up that whole room. It'll
Without
be
letting
fine.
us know to
Yeah,
move out
but
of
we
the
have
way.
to be outside.
No.
Okay, fine. I won't do it.
Okay. So Gunter comes in without the GameCube. Or, it's in his pocket, it's in his inventory, whatever. Gunter comes in not holding anything and not throwing anything, more importantly. But while we're waiting,
Let's take a short rest now and scout a little. Where are the entrances to the tunnel, and what do we expect in it? And can we count this as part of a short rest as we're discussing it?
it isn't. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
It isn't. It isn't a tunnel. They're known as the rat tunnels. They're trap infested. There are connections to the Underdark, and so it promotes creatures from that realm to wander through, forming a bit of an unpredictable element. There are traps. There are locked doors. Originally,
Well, it's
they
nothing that Gunter, you
belonged.
couldn't handle traps and things from other planes. I mean, that was what we did up on the way here, and you were able to.
And I'm pretty good at traps myself. It's part of my skill set, but
Perfect.
there is danger there, to be sure. And I do not know the way offhand. There are a lot of places that it goes to. It belonged to a group of scavengers and smugglers for a very long time, perhaps still even does. And it goes to places of interest to them. So I don't really know where it will come out. Hopefully somewhere on the Ring of Gold or the Ring of Silver.
Well, if anyone's hunting us, they probably wouldn't hunt us in there. They'd probably be keeping an eye out in and around where we just came out. It's a fair assumption, I'd assume. I'd rather throw myself against a neutral enemy than a army of some deep dragons. So that's my vote on the tunnel.
Shay, what is your passive perception?
18.
18. Gunter, what is yours?
9? Was it? I forget.
I know it's at least 18.
17?
Okay, maybe not.
Or
So-
no, it's 19. It's
Okay.
19.
So Gunter and Shay, at this point, while this is all happening, you do hear something. And out on the road, you hear this kind of clop, 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 like he's heavy, not a horse, but it's like a bipedal horse, maybe. And as you kind of quiet everybody down, Helia sees you and instinctively seems to kind of lower herself to the ground.
I'm
What do you
gonna.
guys do?
I want to go peek out, see what the noise is coming
I'm staying
from.
as quiet as possible.
I'm going
Sneakily, of course.
All right, so Gunter and Morwen make a stealth check. Shay, what are you doing?
I'm going to try to tuck myself into a
Natural
corner.
20.
Not
Okay, everybody make a
necessarily-
stealth check. This is a group stealth check now. I will roll for Helia and for Crawdad, who both roll really well.
I mean,
So Matt, what'd you get?
Natural 20.
Natural 20. Okay, great. Morwen?
24.
Heinrich?
I forget if I have disadvantage.
With scale mail, yes, you do.
Yeah. Okay, so it's even worse than that. Let's see here.
Maybe it's that.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. It's 5.
Okay. Shay?
23.
Okay. So in a group skill check, a critical success cancels out a failure.
Hey.
So one critical success counts as 2 successes. So as a group, you all remain very quiet. And Gunter, as you scurry over to the window, Heinrich begins to get up to kind of try to stop you. And Helia just puts a hand on your arm and just says, he can do it quieter on his own. Just let him look. And Gunter, you go over, make a perception check.
That's 17 plus 5, 22.
Yeah, so as you go out, you see this huge shape looming still maybe 15 feet down the road. He's carrying in his hands an axe almost as tall as he is. Maybe.
Oh, wait. It probably doesn't change it, but that was actually a 26.
You see nothing. You see this figure holding this massive axe in 2 hands, maybe 7 feet long from end to end. The blade on the axe, like the size of like a medium pizza. But this is a minotaur, and you can see wearing chainmail, that kind of, and that's what you originally heard, and then the kind of hooves on the cobblestones. But you can see now, kind of looking around, and he looks for a minute, his eyes kind of sweeping across the buildings, and then kind of goes towards the one that you guys came from, and you hear the door again open, and then just the disappear in, and you don't hear anything else for a little bit. What are you guys doing?
Might now be the best time to move and get out of here before they widen the search.
I was just thinking sort of the same thing. Shall we?
Yes, and then I just get up to move.
And
No
Helia
discussions,
gets up.
no conversation. We're just
You can see
getting out
she
of here.
goes over, she looks in both directions, and then darts to the left. What are you guys doing?
I mean, I'm just gonna follow her. I figured her
Follow?
instincts would kick in better.
I follow.
Ah!
As well?
Okay, we're going.
Gunter goes. Shay?
Taking up the rear, but yes.
Shay takes up the rear, and Krodok is going to go kind of parallel with you. So you guys just sprint, following Helia, who is actually faster than you. Gunter, you're having trouble keeping up with the group, for what it's worth. But she also, notices this and begins to slow her pace just a little bit. But you guys wind through the streets. Now, as you kind of progress into the proper Ring of Iron, why don't all of you make a perception check?
17.
Okay.
On the better side.
22.
12.
Okay.
Passive
Um,
19.
Gunter, you are just trying to keep up, and so it's hard for you to really focus in too much. Morrowind, there's just like a lot going on. There are broken buildings, and there's like rubble kind of scattered out. You can see bags thrown across the street, their contents spilled out. And so like there are things that are grabbing your attention. It's hard to really pay attention. But Heinrich and Shay, you guys are taking in a lot as you go. The Ring of Iron is massive. It stretches up and down. You guys are kind of right at the first like quarter up. You can see there are shelves that come away, and there are entire neighborhoods, markets, large structures that may be banks or temples in some. But most of the structures here are made of stone and elements of iron that are probably not like very pure. It seems to be not scrap, but maybe like another step above that. This is like smelt iron. And you guys can see that a lot of these things are built kind of close together, but unlike a lot of the structures that you guys have seen, almost every building here is built in a identically sort of symmetrical format. So, a lot of T shapes, a lot of squares and rectangles. You're not seeing like these L-shaped buildings that you saw back in Port Quinn. They're actually very popular in Port Quinn. This is a very rigid dwarven place. But you guys rush through the streets, seeing here and there, kind of in various states of decomposition, there are bodies here and there. Most of them with clothing and items removed, but there are like bags with the straps broken and kind of ripped open, and there'll be like papers, or probably not papers, but there will be like small items kind of scattered on the streets near them. There are many buildings that are very cold and seemingly empty. You don't smell a lot of hearth fire or smoke. The smoke that you're smelling is acrid, and looking up, there are like wisps of smoke that kind of travel through. It is much lighter here than the Undercity. Though there are no torches that kind of burn, elements of the wall seem to give off a faint glow. And so, where the steps seem to go up, there are like elements of light. And so, it's not too hard to see very far. But the sheer size of this place is difficult. I mean, you can't make out things that are terribly far away because they are just so far and they rise up. There are shelves of buildings that go maybe 200-300 feet above you and then into not darkness, but a place where just the atmosphere kind of prevents you from being able to see the smoke and the kind of dust that drifts down from the ceiling. You do here and there, Shay, you especially hear voices. Not voices maybe, but screams or a cackle of laughter here and there. And then at one point, as you duck through what looks like at one point was maybe like an area that was an open area market. There's like a fountain in the middle. There's a person on, not horseback actually, it's this large, what looks like a dog maybe, but a dwarf riding that. You hear somewhere off in the distance this, what he sounds like crying for a second, but it's creepy and something about it just doesn't sit right with you, Shay. But you guys move on and past, and as you continue, you eventually come to this kind of side of a building. And now, as you round the building, there's a set of stairs that goes down, and the stairs themselves coated in dried bits of dust. And those seem to transmute a little bit further, and there's just mud. This entire district of mud. And as she's running, Haley kind of slows a little bit and says, "Now mind your step here. We're entering the mucket, and it gets... footing is a little unstable. But we're headed across this way." And she points down the stairs and to the right, and you see a squat building, no more than 20 feet long on one side and 20 feet in the other. There are carved out areas, and you can see it actually looks similar to a building that you guys, or some of you, I think Morwen, you saw in the Undercity. This appears to be like a bathhouse of kinds. You can see that there is maybe elements of moisture that comes away, and maybe that's why there is so much mud. But she begins to walk now pretty quickly in that direction.
Cool.
What are you guys doing?
Continue.
Following.
Guess what?
I'm looking around to
continue?
see if anyone's looking at us or following.
Windows. It's way too.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you guys follow into this district known as the Mucket. And here, as you guys are moving, like your feet kind of slide here and there. It's mud on stone. And so you're like having to catch yourself every now and then. Your hands are becoming dirty. The dust is dry. Like the dry dust seems to be almost hanging in the air itself. And so it is kind of unpleasant to breathe in. But you guys reach this building without any trouble, and you enter a space that looks like maybe a communal bathhouse. Not a bathhouse, but maybe where people do laundry and bring things to be washed. There is this kind of like a square missing that's about 10 feet wide, and there is very slowly kind of running water. This water does not seem terribly fresh. It's also muddy, seems to have a lot of dirt and sediment within it. And you can see Helia kind of stops in the space and looks beyond. There are these two racks, like stone racks that are not built into the walls, that are built with these, what look like something that would allow them to be kind of slid around. Mm-hmm. On the racks, there are these, I would say, I don't know if any of you guys would know these. Go ahead and Gunter, make an intelligence check. There are these like 6 racks, and they have what look like metal discs in them, like 300 or so.
That's an 18.
Okay, so the metal discs are each about this size, and Gunter, these are things that actually exist or did exist within your village. They're often used in place of stones. You can heat these up and then place them on something to create like a large amount of steam. But there's about 300 of them on racks. And Helia walks a little bit nearer, and she says, "So, On the other side of those racks, we have to move them or something, but there's a section of the wall that will slide away and lead us into the tunnels. Easy enough.
This seems like a good enough place to rest. I don't want to jump right in there before we're at our full capacity.
She yawns and is like stretching. Yeah, it's almost midnight now, so it would be good to take a rest.
I'll take and I look around at everyone like first watch.
Well, before we sleep, I got something that might be helpful for all of us. And she reaches into her pocket and pulls out very similar or very familiar looking, like a little Altoids
The
tin.
tin. Yeah.
And
Oh, thank
pops
God.
it open. And you can see she takes out like 2 fingers full and rubs it on either side of her temples. And immediately the loamy smell of dirt kind of takes over the air.
Mm-hmm.
Just apply a little bit of this on either side. I think there should be enough for everybody, and then a little bit left over. This will let us sleep without too many issues. Well, I mean, if you have, your own, if you wet the bed or something, that's on you. But it'll prevent nightmares of a kind.
So Morwen does it.
Okay, Gunter?
What is this? Am
it
I
on,
supposed
Gunter.
to eat some of this?
No, please.
No.
Okay.
She just
So you
showed
taste
you
it,
what to do, Gunter.
and
You're
it's-
not an
it-
imbecile.
It's like eating Vaseline mixed with mud. It's gritty. Doesn't taste terrible.
Yum.
Yeah, it's not something that you ate. It's like an ointment. You put it on the side of your head.
Oh, why
Just
didn't you say
give me.
so?
I can do it.
She
Okay.
did.
Oh Jesus! And you take the rest of it.
No, not the rest of it.
Okay, so you take like one dose.
Like
And you just
a healthy scoop.
you smear it across your face, and you can see again the exact same thing as with the wine. She goes, "All right, everybody does things their own way. You left the citadels for a reason.
Oh, I got some in my eye.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Oh God, I got more in my eye trying to get it out.
All right. Hey,
Now I'm
Antlers,
not gonna be able to sleep at all.
Antlers, you said that you would take first watch.
Yeah.
All right, so then who else is taking watches? I would take one, but I imagine you don't all trust
We'll
me.
be fine. We'll be fine. He's got it.
I'll
Don't you
figure
worry
out
about
I'll
that.
figure out who does next watch. We have our own system. Don't worry about it. You can just rest well.
All right, if you're going to wake me, please just be mindful. I get a little bit stabby if I'm disturbed while I sleep, so maybe
I kind of
call my
gathered
name
you're
far
that.
away.
Yeah, I gathered that much.
Thank you.
It's a good
and she
thing.
kind
It's a good thing.
well,
It's a compliment to your skills. Most people woken up wouldn't have the first reaction to defend themselves, more just be surprised or shaken.
You don't say
smiles a
that
little
when
bit.
I do stuff like that.
it does make dating a little bit difficult, though. Right? And she walks off and kind of sets herself up against the into like a corner of the room. What are the rest of you guys doing before, or if you want, you can begin the process or try to take a long rest.
I'm gonna go over to Croddick privately.
Okay.
Be like, hi.
He turns a little Morwen.
I got this off of a dead guy and thought of you, and I give him the bird seed. Do you like it?
Morwen,
Mm-hmm.
that is deeply demeaning.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to.
And offensive at the same time.
Heinrich, how dare you? I'll
How
throw it at
dare I
Heinrich.
what?
Heinrich, across the really powerful scale model that you have, the birdsie just falls to the ground.
Like, what did I do?
I'm sorry, Croddick. Someone was playing a joke on me.
I don't know what she's talking about at all.
Good night. I go
You
to
can see
sleep
his
here.
eyes kind of narrow, and he
I
just
don't go
kind
to
of
sleep yet.
turns and walks away. Shay, Croddick approaches you, and he sits down kind of next to where you are. Shay,
Brother?
I do not understand the outsiders and the way that they do things.
I've been traveling with them for much longer, and I am also still at a loss.
and seems to kind of look over towards Morwen, like the side of his eye, very bird-like in the way that he casts his glance. He turns his head back. More than all of the others, though I wish to understand her, Morwen remains a mystery.
Yes.
Fucking me too, bro.
I wish I could offer you insight. I truly do. I cannot.
Perhaps it is something that I can bring up to Aira when we return.
I feel
Talk old
she
Gunty, he'll
will
set this
appreciate
straight.
all of our observations.
He nods, and already he's kind of tucking his beak into his chest a little bit, which you recognize as him kind of getting ready to go to sleep. Is there anything else anybody wants to do before?
I'm gonna take some time before I doze off to adjust what I can with the armor to make it fit better.
Okay, without too much trouble, because this is a matter of like utilizing straps really to adjust it. You can resize it to yourself, no problem. Yeah.
I would like to sort of in an attempt at camaraderie go and be like, oh, Gunter, let me help you with that.
I don't need
And
your
just, like,
help.
No, you can't get the back parts as easily, and like, whenever there's like adjustments in the back, I'll help with that.
I know what you're trying
just-
to do.
I just want to make sure it fits you. I want you to be
Yeah,
safe
trying to
with it.
cozy up to me because you know you done wrong.
What exactly, aside from go on this adventure with you, have I done wrong to you directly recently?
I have no say in what's going on here. And yet I'm the one who comes up with all these ideas to get us out of things. And when things go wrong, I take the blame.
I will say the last time you had an idea, it ended up with you getting your armor stolen and a really weird burn on your neck. And that was your choice of what you wanted to do.
That wasn't my fault. If Craddock and Shay had been there to actually do something, he wouldn't have gotten away. But they didn't think he was a threat, even though he said, I will be a threat and will continue to be a threat if you leave me.
As Gunter's voice rises, you actually hear this slight reverberation within these 300 metal discs. His shrill voice hitting this weird resonance pitch, where it kind of gives us, it's not like a ring, but it's like a slight like tinnitus that kind of rises from it.
I'm just like, good. For all of our safety, yours included, just know that everything that I'm trying to do is with all of our best interests, even if it seems directly against yours, because I'm still figuring out how you've seemingly lucked it this far with certain behaviors that you have.
Yeah,
And I mean no offense. I just mean the knee-jerk reactions you have to a lot of things.
Everything that I do is calculated.
You don't need an insight check for that.
I'm waiting. I'm just waiting for. Okay. All right. Well, if that's the case, I think this armor's starting to look a little more fitting. I hope it helps. I'm glad that I've kept it for so long. I wonder what else I have in here, and I'm gonna kind of like turn around and be like, "Well, good night, Gunter," over my shoulder as I go and start just like sifting through my bag to remember everything that I've picked up for the last 3.5 months.
So yeah, you start kind of like pulling things out of your bag, and I mean, there's a lot of stuff going all the way back to before your adventures in Port Quinn.
Right.
But yeah, so you take some time to do that. Is anybody doing anything before they go to sleep?
I'm gonna talk to Frank the Skull. We're just gonna whisper about how like I really thought that he'd like it. I didn't mean to be so offensive. God, you're so stupid, Morwen. Everybody hates you.
For what it's worth,
Start
Frank
to cry a little bit.
doesn't agree with that statement. So in that way, he offers a silent support, but otherwise, he doesn't agree with you in any meaningful way. Unless, I mean, he communicates with you in the way that you interpret it. Let's put it that way.
Exactly.
Which is very comforting.
Heinrich,
Mhm.
over the course of the night, is there anything that you want to do other than just kind of like do inventory management?
Right. Like reorganize everything, make sure
Okay.
nothing's broken, bottles and stuff like that, but also specifically keep a watch out, see if there's anyone like me who's followed us here, and also every once in a while check up on hell yeah.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
to
every
make
now and
sure
then you
she's
look
not
over.
like getting up and sneaking away through the tunnel, doing anything weird. Like
There's about an
yeah.
hour where when you look over, there's about an hour where when you look over, you can see that her eyes kind of like open and regard you. But
Mhm.
after about an hour, it seems as if, and you can see her breathing kind of changes. She seems asleep.
Mhm.
But without too much trouble, all of you can mark off a long rest successfully.
Don't forget your bonus 10 temporary HP from here
Yeah.
on out because of me.
Yeah.
Hooray!
Yeah.
And my 15. Sorry, I wish I could share that too.
I gotta regain some hit points.
Oh god, I've almost erased through my current hit points part.
Day begins kind of for you, Shay. You wake up and see Heinrich kind of familiar, still awake. But it is the first of the claws of winter. You guys are kind of making your way now through the winter season and not into warmer weather yet. You guys are kind of in real world terms. You guys are in like February, maybe. You come to within this kind of darker space, the racks of silvery metal discs all still properly lined up. Shay, are you doing just monkey business to start the day off?
As
So a
usual.
series of exercises. Oh, yeah, a series of exercises, stretches, some martial arts things. Croddock joins you after about 10 minutes. After that, I would say probably Shay, not Shay, Morwin, you also find yourself waking up. And Gunter, you last, maybe like half an hour after everybody, find yourself waking up. It's colder in here than you remembered it, Gunter. But for the rest of you, about the same temperature. And what do you guys want to do?
So no bad dreams. That stuff worked.
Well, yeah, of course it worked.
Yay.
And do my morning stretches.
Gunter, you kind of crack your back and yeah, you get nice and woken up. So, I'm pretty good at picking locks and disabling traps, but we need to move these racks. How are we intending to do that?
Well,
We really only need to move these two, and she points to the two kind of in the middle, and we can get to the door through that.
I mean,
Is
should
there
we just try
a
pulling it?
discernible way of how one might go about that?
Make an investigation check.
I feel like I would walk over as well and look for like crack marks or anything sort of like levers or things with wear on them.
Make an investigation check.
18.
18, okay.
21. No,
Okay.
yeah, sorry, 21. 21.
Sure. So Gunter, first you looking around and looking at these racks, they're pretty heavy. They seem to be made out of not cast iron, but iron of some kind. It is a little darker. They go up about 6 feet, and there are like two almost shelves with these discs that are they're standing upright and nestled into a tiny, tiny little crevice for each one. You don't see like wheels. You don't see. It looks like they're on almost like these like long rails that are really meant to kind of stand them up, not really move. Heinrich, you notice with the 21 in the actual stone, it looks like probably there are areas that are chipped and scraped. These racks were probably moved first, and then these discs placed upon them. Given the fact that you kind of like look and you rub your finger on it, and there's like a little bit of dust. This place is still roughly how it was before. Whatever happened in Colterom happened.
Okay.
Look as if it's been visited again. So these may have been set up for like storage and then never moved.
Can I just try to like see if they're able to be moved by hand?
Yeah, you want to try to push?
Well, push or pull? Pull
Sure,
probably,
make-
since they're
make-
split up against it.
Make an athletics check. You guys watch as Heinrich puts his hands around the two sort of end pieces of this.
This isn't gonna go well, but
Put your back into it.
got a 5.
5. So Heinrich,
It's more of like
mighty-
a, hey, this is an idea, guys. Let's try this out.
Seeing
it's
this,
kind of as it scrapes about 2 inches, And then clang, 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 as hundreds of these iron discs just rain off of the thing, hitting the stone.
Oh yeah.
And there's this
I
moment
thought
where
they were like fit into it. I didn't realize they were just like loosely set
they're
on
like
it.
slotted very loosely in. So like there's like these little
Oh.
divots, and they're kind of
Well,
upright
fuck me,
in that.
alright.
And as like the sound dies down, the ringing in all of your ears, you can see Helia now. Like her hand goes to her belt, but there's nothing there. So she just waits, and nothing seems to happen.
Are you?
And
And I like look down, be like, you lacking defense right now?
well, yeah, I don't tend to walk around naked, but they
Ooh.
took my blade.
Oh well, shit. Hold on a sec. Let me go into my bag. Give me a sec. Someone else do something.
I'm gonna go over to Karotic.
Okay.
Hi.
You can see Kralik, his feathers all ruffled from the loud noise. Hi, Morwen. And he's kind of like looking out the door that you guys came in from.
Hi. I'm really sorry about last night.
Morwen, there may be a better time for this.
Here's a necklace. I give him one of my sea necklaces
The sea necklaces?
Which one?
that you can see in the fog.
Oh, the
Okay,
Ortega
okay,
necklaces.
okay. You know,
I
you
have
might.
two, one of which
I like
I'm
how
wearing.
you call that the sea necklace, and your whole
As if,
background is
like-
being a pirate, and you have like a sea necklace. So I was gonna say that's pretty cool. But okay, so you take off this little like silvery scale, and you give it to Krodok, and Krodok looks at it kind of oddly. And
No, I
then
have an extra one.
he takes it.
Yeah.
Thank you. What do I do with it?
Oh, I'll put it on for you. Get behind
Gives
it.
it back to you.
Put it back on. Massage the shoulders a little bit.
You can see he's not terribly comfortable with it on. It is a little small for him, and so it is like it looks more like a choker with the little scale like right here.
Oh, here, let me hold on. And then I wrap it around one of his little I don't know.
What?
I can't wrap it around his wing, can I?
As you kind of realize that it's awkward and you're trying to figure out where to do it, he goes, Morwen. And he reaches out and whips the spear around, kind of twirling it once over the back of his hand. And he just gestures the blunt end towards you and kind of.
Whoa! No need to attack. It's just a gift. I'm sorry.
I have read of some warriors keeping charms and things attached to their weapons in older times. Attach it to this. Perhaps it will bring luck. And Shay, there's not a lot of this that he really believes. You can like tell right off the bat, but Morwen attaches it, and you can see he kind of gives it a little test swing. It is better already. Thank you, Morwen.
I added some of my fur. And I run off.
Not quite disgust, but like a little bit of confusion, and it's a weird thing to say. Shay, you see Krodok, his eyes like inquisitively glance over to you, like trying to figure out what's happening.
I'm gonna motion for him to like follow
Gunter,
over.
you now see Krodok turn over, and he looks at you now, kind of questioning. And you can see Shay, you see he just kind of turns and seems to be nodding to himself. But Helia like observes this whole thing very uncomfortably, and she turns to you, Heinrich.
I'm like, here, and I pull out, they're like the two daggers that I started the whole game with.
Okay, so yeah.
So they have like a pinky hole, just so that they don't fall off if you're like actually like hitting something that resists, basically. So
like
I like
brass knuckles, but with one.
Like just like it's like on the whatever. It's fine. It's a way to secure it.
So it kind of hooks like this, and then on the actual part that goes out, there is a hole.
There's also like a double loop. Exactly. Yeah. So like at the bottom of it, you can just be like that. So you can fling it around. And so I do that as I pull it out of the bag. I like flip it around and hand the blade to her, or the hilt.
She takes the hilt, like not very naturally slipping into it, and she kind of spins it once, one hand over, and holds it like this, and then spins it again over and holds it out the proper way, and then one more time, and then slinks it right back into this empty sheath. Fits a little bit loosely, but for the most part, she nods and says, "Thank you."
Well, there's
Oh,
at least
good.
that. Yeah, I picked it up on my earlier travels. I'd like it back eventually. A little bit of sentimental value. I'm putting trust in you right now. I hope you know.
The trust is appreciated, and I will reward it in kind.
Thank you.
However, is there maybe a way we can move these racks without all of the noise accompanying it?
Yeah, that was kind of a dumb move. I
Yeah,
apologize.
can't we just start taking the things off?
Most of them on the ground
Sure,
now.
if you want,
Looks
yeah, you
like
can
it's
see
all
them.
Gunty's turn.
Well,
Actually, yeah, I'm gonna try to cast silence, I guess, on this
So you
space.
watch as Gunter just holds his hands out. So what are you doing? Are you gonna pull it or?
I'm not
Ah,
quite
no,
sure.
now you can push it. Just I'm gonna go to knock it over, thinking that I've cast silence and that's not gonna make any noise.
Gunter walks over. Go ahead and make an athletics check.
I'm just gonna try to like force it out of the way and try to make as much noise as possible. Being like, there's not gonna be any noise.
Yeah, sure. Pretty big rack, so like pushing it over is difficult.
17.
17. Yeah, okay. Gunter walks over to it, and with his new clockwork assembly or midnight assembly armor on, black, and actually, it fits your skin tone very well. And would your hair, would you have any, would starkly contrast against it. But you walk
Go
up
there.
and you shove this rack full of iron discs over, and there is this clatter, 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 loud, like iron
We already
rain.
learned that was going to happen.
No, I was supposed to not be.
And Gunter, from far away, you can kind of hear this, what sounds like footsteps, one pair and then two, and you can see Helia just kind of going, all right, that was probably not good. Anybody else has been quicker and maybe a little bit more loud. Noise doesn't seem to be, and she's like now going over, and she begins to start trying to pull this away. The second one,
Croddick to come over and two of us help move it.
sure. The three of you easily just tug this thing aside, and it topples over, and even more of these iron things roll out. And now you hear voices. It's coming from over here, and another one that just says, "We should wait for more." And then just like there's like back and forth. What are you guys doing? These are approaching quickly.
I mean,
Is
they're
the door open?
Wait, are they coming? Where are they coming from? Are they coming from outside or in?
From outside.
behind
From outside.
I mean,
Is the
Did
tunnel
the
open?
door open?
Helia goes up to this, and you can see she seems to count, and you can hear just kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, and she just taps the single, what looks like almost like a stunted brick. It's like a little too small for the space, and the entire 5-foot section of the wall sinks back about 8 inches, and then slides to the side. You can see beyond dirt, not stone. Just this dark tunnel that stretches out and into darkness.
all right,
And
everyone in
Helia-
and close it. Everyone in and close it behind us.
Okay, Helia runs in and kind of stands to the side. It's about 7 or 8 feet wide, so you guys can run in. Her hand is out as if she's holding a door open, despite the fact that there isn't a door there.
Yeah.
But she just gestures to all of you. So
Yeah.
Heinrich, you're in. Morwen, you're in. Who else? Hunter, you're in.
Yep.
Shay, Croddick, in. And at this point, you can see she goes in and she taps the brick and pulls her hand in right as it slams shut. You guys now find yourself in complete darkness.
Perfect.
And you hear on the other side of this kind of footsteps, and you hear muffled voices through this heavy brick. You can't make out words necessarily unless you were to actually really listen in.
I'm gonna press my ear up against the wall.
Make a perception check. Yeah, make a perception check.
I'm gonna tap. I guess I'll just tap my bracer and turn light on just to see what
Okay.
we're seeing.
28.
28, yeah.
Wow.
With a 28, give me one sec. You hear, because you guys are in the mucket, there's a voice, and you don't make out the first couple of things, but then you kind of hear, as you get your ear right up to it, "Do you see anybody?" And the other voice just going, "Well, no, I don't." And then, "We're going to lose our place. Come on, we can get back to the kitchens." And then you hear a little scrape of iron. "What are these for anyways?" And you just hear voices trailing off. But as you tap in the light just blinks into existence. You find yourselves within roughly 8 or 9 feet. It's an irregular tunnel. Above, you can actually see there are elements of brick. And there are, when you really look at it now that the light's igniting, there are things, maybe like girders or something, just barely visible running along the sides. And though this looks like kind of a tunnel, clearly man-made. And I would say, Shay, looking at this in particular, there are elements to the girding work and some of the things that attach it that do remind you a little bit of Master Gamble's technique in constructing such things. But because it is midnight, you guys have found your way to the rat tunnels. This is where we're going to end for the evening. So thank you guys very much for joining us for this session of Adventures in Alberon. A lot of stuff happened. Really great session. Gundry doesn't have powers or clothes or hair.
Oh no.
It's almost like karma. But
No.
no, actually, so really technically, if you look back at everything, Gundry isn't technically at fault for a lot of the things that you guys do.
No, I agree. I don't believe it's
Gundry
karma.
pushes it into action.
Sure.
And then
hastily.
and then everybody else has to deal with it, and as a result, like murder people.
Yeah,
but
Gundry,
Everything this
unintentionally
session is directly-
incepts us to do bad stuff.
something like that. So anyways, thank you guys very much for tuning into this session of Adventures in Alberon. I believe we'll be back next Friday, and we will see where these rat tunnels take us.
Probably.
for
our
now-
time.
all of you guys stay safe. It is crazy out there still, and I know things are beginning to open back up, but be careful. Continue to practice social distancing, and have a wonderful night.
Bye.